All right. And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 79. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. I'm extremely excited about our special guest, so we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord who, in my opinion, is the epitome of a true gamer, and whom I had the absolute pleasure of meeting in the flesh at E3 2018. This Lord is not only one of the most technically proficient content creators in the game, but his wealth of gaming knowledge is truly a sight to behold. Whether it be his technical analysis of current gen platforms or his retro series, all done with nostalgic feels and outstanding video production. Introducing the premier tech tester and video producer for Digital Foundry, the writer for Eurogamer, Lord of Gaming Benchmarks, and human fraps in the flesh. Making his debut into the realm of the Lords, my man, Lord Don Linneman. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm not sure I can live up to that excellent introduction, though.
I told you, man, we're going to roll out the red carpet for you in the realm. Absolute pleasure to have you. You are Lord at what you do, so it's only right we show you the proper respect here at the round table.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. It's so nice of you guys. It's great to be here, so thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure to have you, man. We are going to have some fun.
All right.
All right. And of course, you know, we have the four horsemen of gaming, those usual suspects at the round table. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, the difficult game conqueror, and the how of the young wolf. My man, Lord Addict, how you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. Was going to actually play other games this week until I found out the raid on Destiny was like 30 light levels higher than it was supposed to be. So now, guess what I've been doing for the past 3 days? Grinding more on Destiny.
Did you say what it was supposed to be?
I think entry level was it 550 or something? What was it?
No, I thought it was
what he wanted it to be.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't think the final encounter would be in the 80s.
Yeah, it was a rough go for the Lords. Let's just say that, starting that raid. Man, that raids are tough, man. They affect friendships, but we survived. We got through it. Anything else you've been playing in reference to besides Destiny?
No.
Okay, so it's been hardcore. You getting that grind. What's the light level looking like?
It just hit the 40s.
Nice. He's getting ready. First encounter, baby. Let's do it. And of course, we have our most technical gaming Lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience, and also the Sostradamus, Mr. Offline Profile Illuminati and Lord Patreon of the Iron Bank. My man, Lord Sovereign, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic today. You know, a little getting over some inebriation from last night, but I'm good. You know, voice sounding a little sexy, a little crackly. But, you know.
Last night's debauchery at the boxing fights.
I'm so sad that I got there so late.
We missed you, bro. We were like, damn. It's a good spot. You really picked a good spot. We like that spot.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't packed. It was
how I set it up and missed it.
Listen, we know it was out of your control. We know you would have been there.
I have been. So I finally finished Spider-Man. I kind of sort of messed up on the platinum. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit. Well, the thing is, I used some Taskmaster tokens on things instead of my unlocking my suits. So the high Taskmaster, like the 3rd level Taskmaster stuff is kind of like you need some really high scores. So I got to get back in there and grind that stuff out to get the platinum, but finally finished that.
Congratulations, sir.
Platinum chasers and trophy chasers are a completely different kind, man. So, like, I'm not about chasing the book bags that he left on the rooftop 8 years ago.
You're not about enjoying what's best about Spider-Man.
That's the best thing about Spider-Man.
You have to swing to get there. That's the fun part of it. That's the
wow.
best part about Spider-Man.
Listen,
the best thing about Spider-Man is
I watched the video.
Sales. The sales is the best thing about Spider-Man. Shout out to
the sales. And anything else Sam you've been playing besides that?
Yeah, I started Tomb Raider, and that game is just so pretty. I'm like looking at every little corner, every little thing. Like I'm taking forever with that game.
Nice.
That game is gorgeous. Oh,
now what are we running? We doing the 4K
That's good
HDR.
stuff.
We doing performance mode. What we doing, Soft? What we doing?
I'm running it at 4K 30 frames per second. Well,
All right.
Yeah, Tim said that too. Yeah.
I'm
shout out to
surprised. I
Tim,
thought
though.
you was the 60 frames guy. I thought you was
No,
that guy.
man. The thing is, I'm a
He's
little
the chasing
disappointed.
quarterbacks guy.
Oh my God! Shut up, man.
I'm a little disappointed that there's no enriched mode. I really like that middle ground enriched mode.
Oh yeah.
The higher frame rate, right? It gives you the higher frame rate, and it gives you more of like the effects. So I decided to go with the 30 frames per second 40 because I just really wanted to see the game.
Yeah, that enrich mode was like that was a great feature in Rise.
And I'm a little disappointed in the Forza demo for not having something kind of in the middle too. Like the first time I played 60 frames per second,
they took the fraud out, man. They took the fraud out. Somebody playing middle ground. They said side, red or blue, either in or out. Stop the fraudery.
Now let me ask you a question. Let me ask Lord Linneman a question. Like that enriched mode, what were the benchmarks on that? What was the stats on that as far as what is running?
Oh yeah, so on the Xbox One X, it was just like it ran in checkerboard 4K.
4K.
Gotcha.
Right.
So checkerboard 4K is what the PS4 Pro version was doing, but not in enriched mode. So on the X, it was either you get native 4K or you get checkerboard 4K. And if you went with enriched, you just got a lot of the extra details that the PC version had going on, like the tessellation turned up, the texture filtering, just more detail.
I can see why
awesome.
Yeah, I can see why Soft when it misses that mode. He's
he
a
wanted
stickler.
the fraud mode.
Oh my God!
In between mode.
Fraud mode.
Yo,
Oh my God!
I'm just saying
so
either pick 60 or pick 30.
Well, just so you know, Tomb Raider's not running at a locked 4K either. It's not.
I know.
Not.
Listen, I don't believe that these systems are,
Close.
yeah, close. I believe so.
So it's still kind of frauding. It's still frauding.
So that's pretty much
No.
it. Was the last
I just like messing with you with that word.
Yeah, that's
I
funny.
just like doing that, like fraud.
That was it.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, the Switch has been collecting a little dust.
Okay.
Past 2
Thank
weeks.
God.
Oh my God! We'll get to me later.
Let's take the umbilical cord off.
Oh, and of course, we have the Incredible Hulk of this, aka the Excess Gamer.
Ooh.
Oh my God, that was late.
Oh, that was late. What's going on?
I know.
Listen,
you know what? I wanted to tell you that there was a lag in between your voice, so I did my ooh right as you finish.
He was too busy worrying about me. That's why. That's what it was.
Yeah,
the
my
Lord
mic
of
is
Combat
frauding.
Sports, who is a man of his convictions, the man's nothing less than that premium experience, and is the leader of the Fraud Alert movement. Beloved Lord King, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I didn't even give you that ooh there. What is going on? Let me give a shout out to Tim Dog and everybody else. I wish you'd have made it yesterday, brother. Understand things be out of people's control. The Lords got together yesterday for a lot of drink and watching the fight. The results will be up later on today because we know we're early, so this will be the time I'm doing combat talk. It's not gonna happen. It'll happen after this.
What you been rocking? What you been
fraud.
playing? Oh, fraud. My bad. Continue.
Let me tell you why I've been frauding. I have been frauding. I'm a fraud. My Spider-Man is still in the wrapper. I purchased it out of spite. I purchased it out of spite to spite Lord Addict. To make sure that my numbers were counted. I would have brought it twice if I could.
And bought the whole truck.
I wish I could push those numbers.
There is a bet between Lord Addict and Lord King as far as God of War versus Spider-Man first month sale. So that's the inside behind this whole thing.
Yes.
Continue, Lord King.
And I'm in this Spider-Man camp. But I want to give out a shout out to all the frauds that thought they was going to actually jump in the raid and be at day one winning. My team stood back. They went aside. They looked. They stood back. They said, "No, we're gonna get our light level up." Shout out to the frauds that actually thought we're gonna make this happen. This was gonna be what it is.
Hey, don't go at us that hard. Don't go at. We had hope.
Actually,
we had expectations.
Apparently, there's people that's doing the first couple parts of that sectors in the mid 30s.
Yeah, 30s.
No, it's people that are actually getting the mechanics down. It's just a mechanics thing, and you can actually do damage, but it ramps up severely right after that, which I knew, and I don't deal out.
People are getting to the ogre, be like, I'm out.
That's not gonna happen. But I do give a shout out to frauds who actually thought they was gonna try. And I say I'm welcoming you back this week to grind again. Shout out. And I'm not gonna give out any names. You know who you are.
The person, the team who beat the raid, they were almost in the 60s, like 59.
Yeah, they were like 560.
Shout out to those guys.
Shout out
one of them was 566.
That you put up. That was funny. Good, Attic. I'm sorry.
I said one of them was 566.
Really? Oh wow! Didn't realize that. Yeah, man. And,
17 hours too.
Yes, 17 hours. That stream went long, man. Yeah, it was.
You could tell they were.
Salute to Clan Redeem. I believe those are the guys that did it.
And
hours, Jesus.
I gotta give a shout out to that Glad dude, or I can't remember.
Shout out to Glad.
Like I ain't never seen someone like his chatter was literally blowing up in the middle of his stream, and he just didn't know what to say about it.
Yeah, he got really emotional. You could tell the toll of it. I believe it was down. Him and Dado. Dado was still going. He went 24 hours. He still completed, even though Clan Redeem.
He was third.
Yeah. Oh, you was third. Okay, got you. You know who was second?
I have no clue. It was probably that team that was with that was on the same level as that other team, because there was two people at the very end, and the funny part is no one expected that raid to go past the final boss.
Yeah, they broke almost all records. It was tremendous raid. Salute Bungie, fantastic. If you haven't seen the raid or experienced it, it's one of the best cooperative experiences in gaming. Shout out to those guys that grinded it on day one at those light levels. I don't know how they did it.
The funny thing is, he was after his channel was blowing up with subscriptions and stuff, he was like, I only beat a raid. That's all I did.
Yeah, salute to him, man. He was really.
So what do you guys think of the raid in terms of comparing it to other ones?
It's early, but I'll put it like this. Me and Attic had this discussion offline. It's already in contention for, because right now,
just what I've seen, I think is better than Long Glass.
Put it this way: Destiny fans right now hold Vault of Glass and Taken King. Those are the probably consensus favorites as the top raids ever in Destiny. And already we think it surpassed Taken King just based on the bosses, the scope, the length, the difficulty, and narrative. They have a narrative that's cohesive through the raid, which has never been done before. It's really good. So it just comes. I think we just got to do a couple more clears. You know what I'm saying? To get the rest of the community up to speed. It's only about 1% of the community that's completed it. So until more people get in, then I think we'll start to.
I think right now there's only 8 people who's beat it. 18.
Yeah. So but from what we've seen, man, it looks fantastic. It really does.
Okay.
They may have outdone themselves with this one. So. All right, and of course,
I think we'll be ready, Buffering.
Yeah, we'll be ready. Yeah. And of course, we have the gaming ninja himself, the Shinobi, LordCognito, spreading that realness in the realm of the ILP, not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. So for me, which is really simple, like I said, Destiny 2 as well. I got NBA 2K19 on the Switch. It is fantastic, feature rich. Shout out to my man Hardhead. He was very worried about 2K18. There were a couple of features that were missing. I believe the face scan with the app. And also 3-on-3 mode, full online features. 2K really pulled out the stop.
Can I ask you a question, LordCognito?
Here we go with this game.
If you don't keep your subscription, do you lose all your VC money?
Are you referencing the Nintendo online service?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I want to hear the defense that you're going to put up to block that one.
Well, it has been determined that Nintendo is not doing cloud saves for 2K19. However, everything on 2K19 is server based on their own servers, so you have to even be online to do a lot of simple things. So luckily in this case, if something happened to my data, it's the responsibility of 2K.
Oh, okay. I
say it luckily.
I would hate to hear that you spend so much money on VC and you quit in a month and they penalize you by wiping your VC away. Come on now.
Hey, I bet you if you ever got their subscription again, you ain't never gonna miss out that payment again.
Yeah, that is correct.
That is like joining the mob. Blood in, blood out.
And of course, for me also I picked up. Shout out to the messenger, those guys over there, Devolve Digital. Yeah, man. I'm a huge Ninja game fan, so it's like just to play it. It really has that 8-bit vibe of Ninja Gate and NES, and you got your platforming and your skills, and the game is low-key funny. Like even if you go to item shops, there's like a mysterious item shop, and like like the game allows you to question the shop manager. Like, okay, so why am I here? What am I doing this? He's like, dude, the game just started. It's too early to be asking these questions. Just keep. Like, it breaks the third wall. It's funny. Like the game is hilarious. It's just vintage 8-bit retro. If you love ninja gaming and all those type of side-scrolling games where skills get acquired, you are gonna love this game. Shout out to those guys over there. Fantastic game. So that's much
the one we played when we was in PAX, right?
Yes, PAX East, man. Shout out to, I forget his name, Thierry from who sat down, one of the devs over there that created. Fantastic guy. Just to see the game finally come out, man. They treated us well, King.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So now that we got into what the Lords are playing, I want to start off with Lord Linneman. So his video game system history. His journey as a writer for Eurogamer and video producer for Digital Foundry. And of course, what led him to becoming the creator and Lord of all things retro. So Lord John, let's start from the very beginning. What are some of the first video game systems you had and what got you into gaming?
Oh man, that goes back a long way, but I think the first actual console I had was the Atari 2600.
26 always does it. It's a good spot, man.
And then from there, I got the Game Boy.
Ooh, you went straight to portable. Okay.
Yeah. I actually had to save up my own money to get that one.
Nice. Started early, man. Nice.
I started off with Mega Man. On the Game Boy.
Yeah.
That's a good card. Yeah, I like that back in the day. So yeah, it started like way back then, and got some of the other systems from there, and then I moved on to the PC for a while.
Okay.
I think in like '94, I got a 486 PC.
Nice.
A lot of PC games, and then upgraded again 3 years later to like an AMD K6.
Yes.
Started dabbling in some 3D cards, and just went from there.
You started pretty early dabbling in the PC. What made that transition for you to go from console to PC kind of fairly early?
Oh yeah, it was early. I think it was actually like Doom and Duke Nukem 3D, like seeing that stuff on the way. Like Duke's was like 95 or 90. It was 96, but it was those first-person shooters, man. Like seeing that stuff running. I played Doom at somebody's house, and it was just like it was over at that point. I had to play it.
So did you look at the consoles at home like, this is just not going to cut it? And we're like,
I still love the console games. I love the platformers and such. It was awesome, but just. It was the PC really drew me in with, it was first-person shooters and then like LucasArts adventures. So I was really big into art and like drawing back in the day. I did a lot of cartoon stuff. So
nice.
Like, playing stuff like Day of the Tentacle, Sam and Max.
Okay.
I love that stuff. It was
nice. Great. Oh, this resume's nice. Continue.
Oh, sure. Okay. So from there, it was lots and lots of PC. Once we got to my second PC, I started really getting into building my own, I guess you could say.
Gotcha.
Upgrading cards, going to
Nice.
computer shows, which is like about the nerdiest thing you could do.
I love the tech background, fellow tech. I can relate.
It's like I was getting into. I got like a Power VR card first.
Wow, Power VR.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Back.
It was specifically the Matrox M3D, which was like a Matrox branded Power VR card, and I, played some original Unreal with that first.
Unreal was huge.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome at the time. Yeah, those games, man. That was like my formative years. I got a PlayStation and Saturn in 1998.
Okay.
So it was late to that party, and I did enjoy. So it was kind of weird because the consoles were very Japanese focused.
Yes.
So I appreciated like kind of the JRPGs and like Japanese games on that side. But then for the real tech, it was more on the PC.
Absolutely.
Unreal, Half-Life, Sin.
Oh yeah, those ruled at that time.
2.
Whoa, that's a beast.
Shock 2.
It's
like it just goes, man. There was just all of that stuff happening. So I was
at that period of time. What I would do is I would get a 3D benchmark. I will actually and sit there with my 3D benchmark and tell my friend, look how shiny that ball is. Look at the ball. And when I got the new graphics card, I will put the graphics card in and be like, do you see? The ball is even shinier and it's spinning a whole lot better this time.
Exactly.
So I totally get it.
I totally did that stuff. I love those little tech demos and like the benchmarks, like 3D Mark 99, or
Yes.
Yeah.
it was like 3D Mark 2000
man.
where they had like that Matrix ripoff scene. Remember that?
Yeah, that was the best scene. That was the best one. They had the whole beginning scene. Yes.
Yes, man. That was great.
That was awesome. So when you got back, you said that you kind of picked up, you came late back into the party as far as consoles, as far as PlayStation.
yeah.
Saturn. So what for Saturn drove you back in?
So I was always a big Sega fan. Like,
Nah,
really
my
into
man,
Sega. So like, you know, I mostly, you know, I played a lot of Super NES back in the day, but I was more into the Genesis.
Nice.
I played a lot of Sega games, and you know, I love their arcade games, man. Like, it was like 94, I guess, that introduced me to the world of 60 frames per second. It was Daytona, USA.
What?
I saw that for the first time in an arcade. Like, you know, 60 frames per second was on consoles before, right? Because of the 2D side-scrolling games. They're all 60. But for 3D, I'd never seen anything like that before. So I saw Daytona running in an arcade, and I just like stood there looking at it like, how the heck is this even possible? Like, this is unbelievable looking.
Yes.
And that happened constantly. Like, I realized I was pretty lucky because an arcade near us, they kept getting in all the latest Sega games.
Yeah, that was AM2 back at that day, right? Was it AM2?
Yeah, man, it was AM2, you know.
Arcade.
Yeah, they ruled it, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
like, I still think like Virtua Fighter 3 is like one of
the
biggest
gorgeous
in technology ever in the history of gaming. Like the leap to what it was doing from everything else on the market. It was like night and day. It was like we were seeing the future right there.
Absolutely, King, man. You're taking me back, Lord Linneman, because I remember going to those arcades with King, and like I said, we're Tekken fans.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. I like Tekken too.
Yeah, we have to give Virtua Fighters to. I'm so glad you said that because I remember seeing VF3, and we were just we were like blown.
And then once we saw the Dreamcast version, that's when we just like fell over. Like that was like, okay, that's it.
They had launched it with a trifecta. It was Scud Racer, and Scud Racer, which never came to console ever. And
I know, it's such a shame.
I know.
Yeah, I wanted that game so bad.
Dude.
And that Virtua Fighters 3. When we saw Virtua Fighters 3 that day, I'll never forget it. It was like it sent chills up my spine, and I said, "They won. Sega is back."
It's like Lord Linneman said. The technological jump at that time, because I believe at that time they were even doing fabric and just the motion, and man, it was
Dude,
crazy.
and like they did like inverse kinematics. You guys know what that is?
Break it down for me, Lord Linneman.
So essentially, we're to put it simply, it's how they were able to calculate the way legs intersect the geometry. So like you notice the terrain
with the steps. They were
like,
uneven.
there's steps. There's like piles of dirt. There's like a slanted roof. Like all these different things, and they had this thing where they could calculate how the character should be standing on different surfaces, right? And I think that's the first game I ever saw that in action, where it really looked like the characters were placing their feet properly on the ground. And that was insane at the time.
Absolutely. I completely remember that. It's so funny. It was those very small, like kind of those details. But again, prior to that had not really been done. And so you're absolutely right. Okay, that's a big one, man. And then you also said PlayStation got you to come back into the era. So what were some of those PlayStation games that kind of made
actually it's not even so what happened was I was really into PC. And then I start seeing the Dreamcast announcements.
Oh, there it is.
It just for whatever, it was just like, oh shit, I love Sega. I love console games. And so the first thing I did is I went and got a Saturn, and I playing that. I was collecting games for the Saturn, and thank goodness for that because I came in late in the Saturn, so I got a lot of games for like real cheap. That are now worth a lot of money.
Did you have the upgraded RAM card for the back? Because so you can play those Arcade Perfect Capcom games.
No, I didn't. I don't have any of the RAM card games. Actually, I really want to get Street Fighter 03. But man, the price on that. I wasn't so much into the imports yet. I have my import library is huge now. I have like 250 Saturn games, but just from Japan. But I was collecting just American games back then because that's what was local, right?
Right,
so,
absolutely.
Right.
But along the way, I also basically inherited technically a PlayStation from a friend of mine who's like because it stopped working. You had to turn it upside down to make it work. Well,
yes.
you know what I'm talking about.
No, I think we know.
Yes, I did. I had to do it too.
So I figured out that you just open the thing up and you can adjust the laser potentiometer.
Okay.
And, it's not going to help your system live long, but you adjust that strength a little bit and it starts reading again. So I kind of fixed it.
Oh, see, I wasn't that smart. Mine was just upside down.
Lord Linneman, what you telling us is you low-key finessed your friend that thought it didn't work. But
no, technically it didn't work. He just
he bought a new one, man. He bought another one. He's like, oh, you can have this other one. It still works. You turn it upside down. And I
want to know the first person who found the upside down trick. That's what I want to know, because it creeped up into me. I didn't know, and I found out. Too.
How the heck did we even know that? Like, I knew about the trick too, because I started doing that first, and it was like, all right, it works. But then
it's almost like those weird findings with fixes for consoles. Like even with the NES, who thought of like, okay, if you blow the cartridge, that had a chance. It's so weird, like how these fixes.
Desperation, desperation in the gaming nation forms us to do wild things.
Where I got all that info was like going to like J&L Games and Penguin Village and talking to the guys behind the counter, because they're dealing with this stuff all the time.
Oh yeah.
There's no internet, so we're discussing this stuff amongst ourselves, trying to figure it out. So that was my source. Like we'd go over there and be like, man, this is not working. Do you have anything going on? Oh yeah, we've done this, that, and the other in the store. And then that information just gets disseminated amongst people, amongst gamers. And that's how we figured all that stuff out. Like
the best information I got from Penguin Village and Elizabeth Street was the paperclip mod.
The paperclip mod.
Remember that?
The eraser. With the eraser.
Yes, there's so many weird things back in the day, man. I'm sorry, continue, Lord Linneman, about the PlayStation. So you
I will say this though, that the Saturn I got back then still works perfectly. Haven't had to do anything to it.
You hold on to that. Wow. That's worth a lot, man.
Rock solid, man. This Saturns are great. It's a good machine.
Absolutely.
That old PlayStation I still have as well, and I don't use that one. I use a different one, but that one does actually still work. It just skips a lot on the videos, so it's kind of usable, but not that well. But hey, it was basically a launch unit, so
yeah, it was absolutely. Now, from there, no, you continue.
No, man, I'm just saying, so from there it was like playing Saturn and PlayStation, and I got Metal Gear Solid. And it didn't look amazing compared to what was on the PC, but I'd never played anything before cinematic in that way.
Yes.
And I was completely just blown away by what they did with it. I couldn't even believe. But the whole time I'm playing, I kept thinking, man, this would look so good on Dreamcast. I was always like telling my friends, like, dude, you think this is cool? Just wait till they do this on Dreamcast. And it's like,
and then
you got work out that way.
And then you got Bleem. Did you play it? Did you use the Bleemcast?
I did mess with the Bleemcast, and that's that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
It looks sharper.
It did.
Nice.
So for me, then Dreamcast hype. I was still playing PC in some of those consoles, but I was really excited for Dreamcast. Leading up to launch, I was going to stores and playing at the demo kiosks whenever I could. I wanted to import it, but it was hundreds of dollars at the time to do that. You'd be looking at spending $1,000 just to get. So yeah, I couldn't do that back then. No way.
Lord King was. He was input.
Did you do that?
Important.
Yes. Listen, every system that you mentioned, I imported every system. I had a Super Graphics.
Yes.
Dude,
that's how crazy I was.
I bow down to you.
Remember the PC? Remember the PC Engine? I forgot the name of it, but it was like a PC Hour, and it was because PC Engine out there was PCFX. Yes. I purchased the PCFX. And it only had like 6 games. And I probably taught myself Japanese, to be honest with you, during that whole period to play certain games.
Dude,
but yes.
That is That is so freaking awesome, man. I'm a little jealous that you got to experience all that back then.
Yeah, man. We were big. We were big on that because we were lucky at coming, from New York. We had a lot of local import places that we would go to, and yeah, they would have literally like the PlayStation or these systems a year before American release. Dude, and the only thing we had to learn was figure out like some type of a translator, and then get used to either the X and the circle button being reversed from a confirm and backup input thing on the controller. But once you got past that, it was the same. So it was like we just couldn't wait. We needed to see what the new tech was going to be before it came to the stage.
That is amazing.
Yes, yeah, and I was a junkie that couldn't stop. Yeah, I had to just keep going.
You still have your super graphics?
No, actually, I don't. Sadly, I wanted to do the museum thing because, like, you have a Saturn. I still have my Saturn. I have purchased me a Dreamcast off of eBay. I purchased an original GameCube, the Panasonic one. I love that one, the metal one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
So I try to go back and get these systems back, but at that time you're younger, so when the new system comes out, I go right down to the little shops, mom and pop shops, and sell my old systems to get the new ones.
To get the new ones, because they would give you trading deals. I
get you, man. Yeah, I traded in some stuff as well back in the day to get like new video cards.
Yeah, man. And again, King was the man because like we got to experience like Neo Geo because of him. Man, big cartridges, but they were arcade perfect, and you know what I'm saying. And we had like I remember seeing the TurboGrafx 16 CD. First because of him, and that was like an arcade perfect Fighting Street. Remember Fighting Street, the first one before Street Fighter? You know what I'm saying? It was Fighting Street on TurboGrafx and the CD. I just to hear the audio of there's many like you, but there's all over the
all over the world.
Man.
I traded so much stuff in that I regret so much now. Like I let's not talk about how many sealed copies of Panzer Dragoon Saga I had in my possession.
Oh no, the pain.
I don't. It's painful to think about. It's really bad,
dude.
Yes, but that was that's the life. The life was you had to trade up to get higher. Like so, I found an outlet that was selling Neo Geo games launch. Like when it came out in arcade, they also came out there. So the games was $250, and just the cartridge, and you would be able to trade in your old cartridge, and they'll give you $100. But the sad part is, okay, I get $100. I paid $250. I lost $150. But then I would see that same cartridge selling for $225 in the store, and I just look at him like, this guy is robbing me, and I'm his only outlet.
Oh man.
So you picked you're anticipating the Dreamcast. You're really hyped. Now, did you pick it up on launch, or did you get it late?
Oh yeah, definitely. I got it on US launch, of course. Picked it up with Sonic, Soul Calibur, and Blue Stinger.
Woo! Yes, Blue Stinger.
Yes, Blue Stinger.
And those were good, dude. And then so yeah, man, I played Soul Calibur first when I picked up the system, and it just mind blowing at the time. Absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. Remember that launch lineup, Lord Linneman? Like,
dude, it was great.
Strong, man. That Soul Calibur, Arcade Perfect. I mean, they had 2K series, so many good games, man.
Dude, yeah, the 2K series was a huge thing. Like NFL 2K looked unbelievable at the time.
Ready to rumble?
Yeah,
Ready to rumble.
That was so fun.
Yes. No.
They had
Hydro Thunder.
I was just gonna say that Arcade Perfect Hydro Thunder.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. Look,
I think that was probably in console history one of the best launches as far as content for games that we have had. Like the AAA across the board was insane.
Insane. And it's funny you said that, King, because I had a conversation. Shout out to Lord Sting and the NLG guys. And he had to remind me. He OG checked me because he's been around for me. And I was sitting there because, obviously I'm very excited about the Switch. And I'm just like, man, this launch is so bullish, for Zelda, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, could this be like the greatest launch? You know what I'm saying? As far as like a software titles available around. And he said, LordCognito, don't let me remind you of the Dreamcast launch. And then I sat and I looked through it and I'm like, he's right, man. Like it was so strong. That launch line was
Did we
so strong.
Code Veronica at launch?
No, that was like March, I think.
Yeah, and then I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, and Shenmue was later
it was
also.
close.
Yeah,
but they still were very strong out the box, and they pretty had every genre locked down too.
Wait, did you say the Nintendo Switch had a good launch?
Yes, it was impressive.
It had Zelda.
Oh my,
That's
yeah,
all.
Addicts World. That he thinks Zelda was the only thing that.
What
launched
other
that.
game?
I'm not even gonna get into this.
What
right
other
now.
game?
Moving along.
No, you can't just, what other game?
I've already been down this road, Lord. We're not gonna do it now.
Look, King David, he won't answer me.
Anyway, so like we were saying, so after the started, I mean the Dreamcast, and you kept going. So obviously, I'm assuming we have all the current gen systems and all that good stuff. So that's good. But now I want to get into like now what kind of got you to where you are as far as leading to Digital Foundry and also Eurogamer. So how did that come about? Like what led to what?
Oh man, that's kind of a weird one. So I worked in like IT programming, that kind of stuff for like more than a decade. It was a while. Like, you know, when I was living in the States, that's what I was doing. You know, I worked in the automotive industry, just doing computer stuff essentially. I got to travel though. Went and lived in Tokyo for a bit.
Wow,
that was fun. Up in Detroit some, you know, just in various spots, but it kind of, you know, just kind of went along. And I guess I got married in 2010, and my wife is French.
Nice.
So eventually in 2013, it was kind of like, you know, oh yeah, thanks. So she was like, you know, kind of want to go back to Europe. It's like, you know, I was kind of open to it, and you know, with her job, you know, she's a chemical engineer, so we traveled with her job.
Nice. Salute to the lady of the realm.
So I basically quit my job completely. I was just like, well, I guess I'm done. And just at that time,
that's right. With love and my wife, I must go. That's to happen.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So that's what I did. So I came to Europe, and just at that time, we actually moved to France first. Now I'm in Germany. It was just like Richard was looking for somebody to help out. Essentially, he just posted on the page, and I thought it was a good opportunity to try something that I was more passionate about.
Now back up 1 second, because again, for the uneducated, I do not. Now, Richard, Digital Foundry existed as an entity already, and Richard was kind of running that. Like, I'm just confused as far as.
Yeah. So Richard's been around doing game-related stuff since like 1989.
Wow! Salute Lord Richard Redbetter. We love that voice.
In the States, he's not that well known because obviously the magazines didn't come out there. But in the UK, he was like a household name. Like he was doing all kinds of big magazines. Like it's pretty much like the equivalent of like, you know, the top EGM guys or something. You know?
Like so
one of the, like very well known.
Gotcha.
In England, like. Did a lot of magazines. He started. He's mostly Sega focused, so he did like stuff like Mean Machines. He did the official Sega Saturn magazine, that kind of stuff. You know, he was the one that helped orchestrate one of their issues. It came with the first disc of Panzer Dragoon Saga with the magazine.
Oh, thank you.
Sovereign's Heart, right?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I remember that book. Yeah.
So yeah, man. But yeah, so he started up doing Digital Foundry at some point, which was more like a DVD related thing, like doing like DVDs for like magazines and strategy guides and such.
Okay.
And then
that was the thing back then, because it was almost like a pack-in. A lot of magazines had that pack-in disc, and I remember OX7 and those guys. So that was kind of a thing at that time. I do remember.
And then, you know, it went away. The internet fast enough, right?
We even get our demo discs and stuff from those magazines.
Exactly. So it's pretty much, I mean, he started it up. As far as I can tell, like those first Eurogamer articles, you guys remember those? Where you would just like compare like 6 or 7 games at a time, but it was just like a blurb or two and like a little frame rate test. And it just started as that. And then he started doing more and more, and then he brought on some other guys, and you know, it just kind of grew. And I was an avid reader of that at the time. So when there was an opportunity to kind of do something like that, since I really enjoyed that stuff, I basically like threw my hat in the ring and was lucky enough to get a shot to kind of test myself and
Lord, aka Lord Linneman killed that interview.
It's kind of a test. Even I had to do a test, kind of look at a game and try to break it down like we would do, and it was Crisis 3.
Ooh, that's a good start, man.
because that was the one that was just hitting at the time, and it was like, all right, that's a good one to look at. But when I started there, we were pretty much just article based, right? Like for the first 2 years, all I did was write articles, and do some screenshots, and the frame rate videos were just like short videos with no voiceover or anything.
Oh, wow.
And then in 2015, we started a push to do more like what we do today. And I think my first videos that I did with voice was I did one on Xbox streaming on the PC, and Gears of War Ultimate Edition was the first big comparison video I did with voiceover, and that thing took me like a week and a half to produce.
Yeah, I do. I remember that one actually too. The quality. That's one thing you guys over there. Very high quality on the breakdowns. That was a big one. That was a big one.
That was a big one. Yeah, no, that was I love me some Gears. So
nice. Same here.
That was kind of like the learning game for me, figuring out how to do the video stuff, and it just kind of kept evolving from there.
Gotcha. So then it went from, now let me get it started from kind of like writing Eurogamer, and then you kind of then transitioned into the video production side and kind of leaned more into Digital Foundry, because they're one entity, right? Or just break it down for me. Is it one single entity under the Eurogamer umbrella, or they're separate?
Sort of. We're we post their stuff there for the text stuff, but we're kind of our own thing.
Gotcha.
So we're not one and the same, but we are, connected to those guys, of course. So
like a cousin, like a good relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool folks working over Eurogamer.
No doubt. Salute Eurogamer. Salute Digital Foundry. Richard Ledbetter, huge fan. He's the man. I mean, like I said, me and Sov laugh all the time. Like, he has the most illustrious voice breaking down technology. It's fantastic. So obviously, next question is obviously, like a lot of us older gaming lords, we survived that 8-bit through the 32-bit console wars. So we all try to have all the critically acclaimed games that come out as we possibly can. But obviously now with the intensity of the current console wars, right? Like, how did you ever envision Digital Foundry becoming what it is? Because in my opinion, it's like the pulse of modern gaming culture. Like, everybody waits for that Digital Foundry breakdown, whether it's an Xbox One X versus a PS4 Pro, 60 frames per second resolution or whatever.
Depending on the side of the fence you're on, you wait with either anticipation or fright. Okay. I just want that to be clear, because plenty of times it'll pop up and I say, man, I gotta watch this video, but I don't think I'm gonna like the outcome.
Every time there's a big game in and I know Digital Foundry about to make that video, I'm like, they about to set the world on
fire. Because I mean, it's balance breakdown, but it's just so precise. And like I said, if you're looking for a title, or you're actually, let's say you have all platforms and you're deciding which to get, and you want to see the advantage and disadvantage on each, it's such a cool thing. So did you guys ever envision like it would become this? I mean, you guys are the pulse of gaming culture right now.
That's so weird to think about when you say it that way.
Man.
I'm just here in my house doing this stuff, trying to make interesting, entertaining videos. So it's like, but yeah, it's a crazy thing. But I mean, I enjoy doing it. For me, the main drive really is actually to. I have a lot of friends that are developers in games, and I developed a lot of software myself, but not actually games, like other software. But I know how much work it takes to build this stuff. Like, I haven't experienced anything quite as intense as like a crunch period or something on a game, mind you. But I like to celebrate what these guys are doing. So I kind of view a lot of the videos as like, it's part comparison when there's multiple versions, but also like a big part for me is just kind of highlighting the hard work that these guys put into these games, help people appreciate like why this stuff is so cool, like why this is impressive and why you should care. Because reviewers are just gonna talk about, oh well, the game is good, bad, whatever, the gameplay, the story, that stuff. And I feel like, it's the artists and the programmers and all the other guys, doing this stuff in the background that I want to try my best to, give them some extra like shout outs, some credit to showcase like the good work that's done. When something's not done well, I'll point it out, of course. But, I kind of prefer to be more positive than negative these days.
I've noticed that the reason why I gravitate to the channel is because, one, it's not biased. right? It's just facts.
Well, you know I love everything, so
exactly. We got everything.
So, and the breakdown of these facts, the whys and the hows, and this is what you should be looking for. Like when you see this and you say, like certain terms that I'm not well versed in, where LordCognito is well versed in, or Lord Sovereign is well versed in, and I see these terms, so I'm able to have a conversation with these guys about what I've just seen with your channel. You make me more knowledgeable going into the conversation with them, and I use your vernacular to attack them. Like the titillation was off on the hair. And let me explain why.
No, it's true.
I just love how lit they make Twitter. So that's all I care.
The millennial, of course.
It's an effect.
For me, the big love is, I mean, I love all the tech breakdowns of the modern stuff. But for me, it's the DF retro.
Thank you so much.
For me, that speaks to my heart in a way that, like, it's stuff that I would love to be able to do myself. And it's just because, apart from you breaking down like a specific game and the history of that, it's a history lesson in and of itself. And that's what I love most about it, because you'll break down, like, for instance, Doom. Like Doom, you took every single version of that game and explained why it was different, why it was special, why things were different, and at the same time, you're explaining sort of the culture around gaming at that time, to sort of understand how these differences came about. It's you attack it in a way that shows how much love and reverence you have for this stuff. That I love it. I mean,
oh man, I'm so happy.
I just noticed that you guys put up I'm sorry to cut you off,
no, go ahead.
60 press conference thing this morning.
Yes.
Oh my God, just to sit there and just listen to you guys talk through that stuff. And obviously you see everything in 2020 hindsight. But just to see like where the vision was then and where things are going, I love that stuff. I just love looking at stuff like that.
Absolutely, man.
I appreciate it very much.
Man, I thank you very much, because the retro stuff is like my own passion project. That's the stuff that I love doing the most.
Absolutely.
And it comes across. You can feel it.
Yeah. So, I mean, might as well transition right into the question I have for you for retro, because obviously, like we also know you as the ambassador for that. You know what I mean? And like what I like what you do is similar to what Saul was saying, is that you guys almost do like what you do specifically, which is great, is you put people in the time capsule of what was going on during the creation of that console or that game.
Yeah, that's what I try to do.
Dude, you got that on Smash. There's no one beating you on that. Like, I remember what I was doing. I remember the climate of the game and the industry. And then sometimes even when you take a franchise, what you'll do is you'll have the evolution and every iteration of the game on different platforms, and just to see the growth kind of to like where it comes now. Like Tomb Raider, you did that before. And it's just such a nice touch and a celebration. And like you said before, like it's about giving credit to the dev. What was the thought process behind them choosing this versus that? You know, that kind of thing. Dude, you kill it with that, man. And Iron Lord, salute to you for that. Like, I love the retro series. Fantastic job.
Oh man, that's so nice to hear, because you guys are exactly getting what I'm trying to do. So it must be at least somewhat successful then.
No,
it's very successful. Like, because I watch when the videos pop up on my YouTube feed, which is probably I don't know. I've turned into this weird guy that YouTube is actually my information highway. And it's like my go-to. Like when I decompress from the world, I go straight to YouTube. So normally you guys will pop up and then weird stuff that they'll recommend, and I'll go straight to watching that video, even if I don't have any thoughts of purchasing that game. I want to see the comparison and the breakdowns into why, and that directly goes into that Chinese system that just came out.
Oh, the thing that Richard did,
yes. And I was intrigued by it when I saw them talking about how many cores it had and all this other stuff, and then to see that you actually got the system in-house and the size of the system and the build of the system, but it actually is running as like a PC opposed to a console. But I posed a question yesterday. I said, well, maybe they view consoles the way we view PCs, and it's their view, because we don't live in their culture. So it has Windows 10 on it, and maybe their boot up and stuff like that is of console their self, but it's this powerful. And I saw the games that were playing on it, and I said, wow, it just took me to something that I can't access right now. And you guys gave me a window into something that I was very curious about, and I was appreciative that you actually did that. You guys actually took the time out to get that system to do that.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm so glad that was possible to do that, because I don't know the whole process, but I don't think it was so super easy to get.
So were you able to get your hands on it though? How were you able to?
Well, Richard has it at the moment, so I want to check it out next time I'm over there, actually, because it looks kind of neat.
Yeah,
so I do have a quick question for you. Was there any particular project that you did that blew up a lot more to your expectation, where you was like, wow, I didn't expect that?
Well, let's see. Okay, so there's two, I guess. One is that we did that thing on the PS3 conference earlier this year, which is the three of us talking about it, right?
Yeah,
that was just like
Killzone, though.
I was just like, hey, this sounds fun to do it. I didn't expect like anybody to watch it, but that video keeps coming back. People keep watching it. I'm like, all right, that's cool. I'm glad people like that one.
I think that as part of the retro series is perfect, because again, a lot of our memories, like you look back then, your memories of those events, right? Back then, it was hard for us to actually watch these events, right? We got the news coming out of it. If you weren't at an E3, you'd be able to get that afterwards. So all of the excitement around the tech at that time, or all the rumors and all the like with the PS3, you're gonna have to get another job or whatever, all that stuff. Like it puts you back in that moment and how you felt, like you were pissed off or like you were elated, and it's just the fact that you can sit and discuss that stuff now with all that hindsight. It's equal parts educational and hilarious to do.
Real quick, not to interrupt you guys, shout out to Lord Samuel Tolbert, one of our editors for the TICGN website. He said, thanks for the ton of work that you do. Guys like you do, John, been following since 2012. Always enjoy your tech breakdowns. It's one of the reasons he began studying engineering.
Wow.
So you're out here inspiring, man, in the realm.
That's awesome. That's great, man.
You love down here, man. You love down here in the realm of the Iron Lord. Make no mistake. Well, I was going to ask you just to transition. Now, obviously, Microsoft, a majority of Lords here, Microsoft's kind of our preferred platform in the realm. We have everything, but obviously we do like Xbox. But now, can you tell us what led one of the biggest exclusive tech reveals ever, in my opinion, by Digital Foundry, which was the Xbox One X? And at that time, just to put us into place, you guys were kind of allotted that ability to go behind the hood before anyone, and get a chance to see that tech. So break down that whole process, and then just, the Scorpio, the chipset, that whole thing, and getting under the hood and down and dirty with the Xbox One X.
Oh, no, that's a little tricky one. I'm not actually sure how much I can talk about. I don't want to get it.
We don't want to get you in trouble.
He said, listen, tell us how it happened. Like,
you can answer it this way too. You can obviously, you can't, whatever you can divulge, obviously please do, but we don't want to get you in trouble. But as far as just the experience itself, like getting your hand, can you talk about just how you found, like, putting it through its paces, or some type of benchmarking, or just
just the opportunity alone kind of blew my mind. And it was man, like
okay, I have this question though. What kind of thought press did you have when you found out that you guys were doing that?
Yes,
I was just like, wait, what? Like,
that's how I felt when they said we were having you today, right? And like, because we have a chat, right? And in that chat, is like, what are we gonna do for the week? So pretty much, last week I had a question. I had a topic that I didn't use, and I'm really passionate about this topic. So I said, we can cut that last week because we had a guest on, and I didn't want to go over. I said I'll save it for next week. So and I'm in the chat, and I said, well, my topic is the same as last week. I just want to expound on that. And then they said, well, the guest is you. Right? And I looked and I said, Yeah, right. Did I read it wrong? Did I read it wrong? And I read it again, and it was like, link to his Twitter, check out his Twitter, get well versed if you're not well versed. And I'm like, I watch the guy every day. Stop playing with me. And I said, hold up. This is where the cold sweat hit in, and I said, I don't want that freeze moment where you're like, well, it's your turn to ask him a question, and I'm like, and you fanboy out. But I'm pretty sure that was your same moment when they were like, okay, well, we're gonna talk about the X, and
you're exclusive Digital Foundry.
Yeah, we're gonna go live with this later. And you was like.
That was one of the biggest things being talked about at the time. Yeah. And it's like then you just randomly wake up, it's like Digital Foundry revealing them, not just like dissecting them, they're revealing them. It's like, why Microsoft letting another company reveal their own product?
I thought it was genius because they understood exactly how important you guys were.
Yes. Well, there's not too many people in the industry that could do something like that on a positive effort like that.
No, it's not even that, Addict. It's the fact that they are the go-to. You understand? Like this is how confident. This is what I took from it, right? They were so confident in the tech that they were about to reveal, and this has been unprecedented, to give it to a third party to do that, dissect that, and say what it is that you choose to say about it without, saying, you can't say this or you can't say that. I don't know for sure, but I thought it was supreme confidence in that and knowing that they know your audience, that your audience will tune in.
Facts.
And how big you guys are when it comes to that.
I think it's equivalent to a game being so confident they release their review copies a month early.
Absolutely. I mean,
they're like, come at me, I don't care. Let's go.
Good. That's exactly right. Where it's just like, the hardware is just really good. So, I mean, we could say whatever we wanted about it, honestly. Yeah. But there is, in the console space, they just did a fantastic job with it. It's a great machine.
Absolutely. And like King said, and reiterating what Addict said, for me, when I heard, like I said, I call you guys are you guys have the pulse of gaming modern culture down. You guys have your finger on the pulse. So to me, I felt it was a fantastic move by Microsoft. It showed, just like King said, complete confidence, because make no mistake, if your tech is being presented in front of Digital Foundry, it's going to get broken down. There will be no, you guys go through the paces and you tell it down. From it. you tell it honest.
I found out that whole reference of checkerboarding.
Right. Remember, everybody was talking about
guys.
What was it called?
Oh yeah,
the vaping cooling system. we were learning technology terms. Right to you, right?
And I'll tell somebody that, because it has the vapor cooling inside the system. They look at me like, for real. Yeah.
I don't know if you could comment on this, but was it true that when your article went live, your site crashed because there was so much traffic? Because that's what I heard.
Oh, I can't remember, but I feel like that might have happened, or at least it was really, really slow for a short period.
Because I remember people was like, the article's up. I was like, I'm waiting for that video. I'm not reading all that. It wasn't up too long afterwards, but it felt like that 10 minutes was a long time.
I think what Microsoft realized was that they were so inadvertent. You guys, because of all the tech breakdowns that happened at the beginning of the console of this generation, 2013, with the Xbox One and the base PS4, and all the comparisons that resolution gate and all that stuff that you guys were sort of inadvertently kind of in the middle of because of your tech analysis. It was just I thought it was genius on their part to go right back to that source and say, you know what, here you go, guys.
It's kind of funny too, because it's we'd already with the PS4 Pro, that kind of stuff got out there, right? So we posted all these news stories about the specs ahead of time. Yes, so I feel it's almost, if we could just get it official word from the mouth, or actually see it directly, it's kind of clears up the potential for errors there. With the pro stuff, it's you have to go from what you have, and it's if something appears worse in those documents than the reality, that you got to clear it up, right? So I can see the benefit, but you if you're gonna do that with a group like us, I guess you got to be confident in the hardware, like you say. Like,
Crazy
like
confidence.
2012, Nintendo comes with the Wii U or something.
Absolutely, but like I said, I mean that it was ultimate confidence, and like one thing you just nailed a good point too is that by having that, as opposed to the pro situation where it's a lot of inferring, right? You guys are sitting there based on rumored specs, and you can only do so much as far as what you guess. But it's really cool how you guys break it down, and then when the X came, and then it's like, okay, we don't really have to do any more inferring. We have it here. Microsoft is letting us go put it through the paces and see some stuff. And I remember that Forza Horizon, the not Forza Horizon, but a Forza kind of spec demo or something that they were showing you guys at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just fantastic. And you guys were like, hey, it's only utilizing, this percentage of, the Xbox One X is not really all the way optimized yet. And it was just really fascinating stuff just to see you guys break that stuff down. So yeah, salute to you. Got tremendous job with the Xbox One X, coverage. I thought that was a fantastic get for Digital Foundry. I thought it was, again, complete confidence by Microsoft in the tech, and it was cool to see that whole thing kind of unfold with you guys, and definitely salute to the team for that.
That's cool, man. Thanks. Yeah, it was I'm kind of glad to see the competition come back in the space like this as well. Like you have all these console manufacturers like vying for your dollar. It's like Microsoft being on top of the world with 360 is what led to the original Xbox One. Right? And they were just too confident in what they had going on, and it was this Don Mattrick years. Thank
you. Because I say this Phil era is the greatest era so far for me. Because listen, I'm a Sega head, all right. And I tell people every day that Microsoft is the baby that we never wanted. And it's because that Sega died. So Microsoft actually, stepped into those shoes.
Yeah, a lot of Sega kids went over to my Xbox. That is true.
Yeah. Is it because the system is a dark color system? I have absolutely no idea. But it filled that void where we wanted it to be Sega. We always want, if we can take the name and put it on the box and it be successful and it's Sega, yeah, we'll be happy. Those kids that don't know that just Microsoft kids, these are the original Sega kids. We're here for that. And now, seeing that Microsoft have grown into this entity, like you said, with the 360, and they got the hubris that had them believing that they can do anything and anything. They was omnipotent, and we will follow no matter what. And they fell flat on their heads with the first Xbox. And to see the reversal.
But it was still a technological, as much as it wasn't a commercial success, for them having the Ethernet, the hard drive, they set the tone. Xbox Live debuted with LG.
Right.
Xbox was great.
From a hardware perspective,
you're talking about the original Xbox One.
I'm talking about the original Xbox One.
I'm talking about 2013.
No,
I'm talking about
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the original Xbox One, where they fell flat on their heads, where they thought the messaging was mixed, and they thought they can do anything, they can recover from anything. What happened was when they put their games out, and they say they didn't understand that Digital Foundry we're going to do a breakdown. They didn't understand. They didn't understand what was actually happening, and y'all got part of this movement, this wave, this culture, without being biased at all, just stating the facts. And this game runs at 1080p, and this runs at 90. 900p was like my bane. Like I had a tear in my eye. Like I can actually see it.
I low-key think Digital Foundry is the sole responsible for the X even existing.
No, probably so. But the fact that
like we got to get everything turned around, man. We getting hit at every corner. Let's make it.
Kudos by Microsoft for doing it because they had to change the narrative.
It was the inverse the previous gen, though. You go back and look at all of our old comparisons. It was pretty much the 360 trouncing the PS3 most.
Right.
I don't think they really, when they made that, I don't think they thought it was that effective back then. But see, the reason they didn't know that is because it was reversed.
Yeah, when you winning, you don't care.
Behind their PR team, but then when it was reversed again, Sony's like, man, I bet you Microsoft said one point in time, I missed last decade.
God, the the thing that sucks is like, the community latches on to whoever like the winner and loser is. So like during the Microsoft era, it was like, oh, DF only likes Xbox.
Yeah, you get paid off.
And then it's like, and then it flips around for the next gen, like, oh, they only into Sony. They don't like anything else. And
it's so true. It is so true. And that's where I sympathize with you guys because, with every positive thing you may say about Xbox One, and every positive thing, the other side will always accuse and be, oh, well, they had exclusive rights to the Xbox One X. There had to be some kind of influence. And then, like, when you guys do something on the PlayStation side and it really shows, how something is great, even with the Spider-Man thing, that broke the internet, right?
Dude, I was very angry about that.
I was happy that you guys actually did the Spider-Man thing because I played it at E3 and to hear the negative that they were saying, because the Puddlegate, and
just out of go ahead. Just out of curiosity, what did you think before you did any analysis or anything on the Puddlegate scenario?
Well, by the time it popped up on my feed, I was already playing the game. And I was just like, guys, like if you actually see this thing running and play it, it's like it looks awesome. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, the funny thing is, people in this community actually pretty much started the Puddlegate. I think the Lord Kofi literally started the Puddlegate.
Oh no!
And I told these guys, I said, listen, because they know I like Xbox, but I said, let me tell you something. This was my game of the show. Like Spider-Man was the game of the show. And I said, I touched it. I said, if you get a chance to touch it, if you see it, my thought was, I'm always jaded by the Final Fantasy demo that they showed, and we never actually got that game. Remember when they was dancing in the ball?
Yeah, that's when we learned the horrors of vertical slice demo.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I saw the CGI, which I thought was CGI for Spider-Man at the time when they showed. I saw there's no way the game goes.
The game really does good on that CGI to actual gameplay.
Yeah, the transition between cinematics and gameplay is pretty simple.
Oh, I mean the game or the cinematics are real time.
Yep.
It's real time.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can pause at any time and like mess around with the colors and depth of field and like manipulate it all you want. And it's
amazing.
Just they do that awesome job of transitioning between cinematics and gameplay. I love that kind of
Spider-Man has never made it so easy to make thumbnails in my life.
Now, let me ask you this, because this is what they were attacking my man Lord Linneman for. They were like, people in reference to Spider-Man, that your statement in reference to that there was no downgrade as opposed to an artistic change. Now, do you stand on that square still? Like, are you letting the fanboys know that there's no downgrade here?
I think people have misunderstood when you say artistic change. They think, oh, they just changed it because they thought it looked better. It's like a lot of times in this case, like I think the E3 puddles kind of look better, and I said that in the video because the reason I think they change it has to do more with the amount of work required, because there's not really a technical difference between how the E3 and the final game turns out. Maybe a slight difference in the resolution of the cube map. Like the whole thing centers on those reflections use something called a cube map. It's essentially a box projected texture beneath the surface that's designed to sort of like, it's just a picture of the scene, and you put that under the surface, right? So you can kind of fake reflections that way. And if you look closely at the texture, you see it's not accurate. It doesn't reflect the objects. But to do that all over the game world in an open world game, they're already using a lot of cube maps. That's a super time consuming thing. So honestly, my guess is they just found a way to do puddles and water in a way that's more like efficient for their time. So it's an art change in the sense that it's a change to make the game easier to create, like a more efficient way to do it. Like making all these custom textures specifically for these rooms, like that's a ton of work right there. And I feel like their solution in the end is just more like, it's, again, this is my guess, I haven't actually talked to these guys here. I think it's easier for them to do it, and I'm not to say like everything they've done, like very difficult work, clearly, like there's a ton of effort went into this, but
absolutely
the whole reason the situation bothered me in the first place is nothing to do with like console wars or anything like that. I just thought it was disrespectful to the guys that worked on the game. Like,
thank you.
It doesn't show. It shows a lack of understanding of what it took to make, and it shows a lack of like empathy in terms of like what they had to do to make this work and like what you have to think about when making a game, and not understanding that when you're doing these vertical slices for an E3 demo, like that's all you're doing. You're focusing all this time and effort into perfectly polishing up this little bit of gameplay just to show off. And it's like, you don't know you haven't asked all the questions yet that are going to come up when you're reaching the end. So like as the development continues, it's like you suddenly realize, we can't do this for this reason, and it's usually has nothing to do with the system can't run it. It's other things.
There's not time.
Let me jump in real quick because I have a quick question on this.
Yeah, go for it.
And I think where the disconnect happens, and first of all, fantastic points, because you are correct. A lot of the gamers, casual gamers, we do not understand the decision-making process, the technical limitations or things that are needed to make things happen, and where as far as just to present something to us. Now on the other side, I want to be fair and balanced. On the other side, Lord King, Lord Sovereign, and I we're kind of old enough to have been to E3s in the past before, and when we've seen those quote unquote vertical slices, and like I said, not to throw PlayStation on the best, but the Killzone is an infamous even Watch Dogs, right? So I guess question to you, Lord Linneman, is that because gamers in the past have quote unquote, I'm going to say full deceit, but they've been misled as far as what's being presented on screen, as we know sometimes is a vertical slice, but then when they get home and they're like, wait a minute, this is not what was shown. Like, do you at least maybe empathize with the gamer on that level when they're looking at these
absolutely. I just think it's a situation you can't judge with a blanket, because go ahead.
I think there's a difference between someone being burned in the past and someone using console war finesse to push the agenda more than that. That's what I see the most on Twitter. It's not about what's been done in the past to games like Watch Dogs. It's on PlayStation so I can attack it.
There is some of that, unfortunately, but I think again, so with every game, it's going to be different. Like we've since learned, like with Killzone, right? Like
the infamous Killzone.
all that was an internal demo reel. Like that had nothing to do with the actual development of the game. So like they chose to show that on stage and didn't even tell Guerrilla Games beforehand.
I thought the cell processors was capable of that. I thought the cell was doing.
I learned from Trip Hawkins.
Oh my God! Don't go there. Don't go to the 3D.
No, I have to go there. I have to go there because the M2. Let me tell you something. We was finessed. We was finessed.
We got caught. We got caught.
We purchased our 3DOs, and I don't know how we got this $700 invite. Yeah, I don't know how we got this invite, but we were on their list, and they send us the invite to come down to Carnegie Hall to see
the why you want this, because they knew you was going to buy that.
Oh no! Listen, let me tell you something. I think they still got my deposit money.
Shout out to Lord Bill Stillwell, a fellow 3DO fan as well. Continue.
Yes, and Trip Hawkins is the greatest snake oil salesman this world has ever seen. I mean, he is the best.
Let's just say this a little bit. What we were presented to was a behind-the-scenes showing of the 3DO M2, which was supposed to be their expansion on the existing 3DO hardware to complete with, I believe, PlayStation, all that stuff was coming soon, I believe. So what we saw to this day was probably one of the most outrageously outstanding tech demos. I mean, the thing looks so good, it probably could put Forza Horizon right now to shame. It was we would just be like, oh my God, if they had a hold of this tech.
I've seen some of those videos, but I am insanely jealous that you guys get to see that.
Yes,
that is amazing.
It was with Trip, and salute the Trip as far as they showed us love. But from that, we were filled with so much confidence, and then to see the result and then find out none of it was true and it wasn't running on base hardware.
They fed us.
We were heartbroken.
They had us sit down in a beautiful auditorium, and we was presented with the greatest demo reel that I've seen to this day. It was a car racing game that was insane, and it was on like this virtual highway, which the textures was beautiful, and it ended with a car coming in the opposite way because we got on the highway and we was just swerving. It was brilliant.
That pause,
And I
that was
said, we walked away, and we like, he's up there, he's able to talk to us. We're talking, we're shaking hands. We're like, come on, we're impressionable.
Where do I deserve this at?
Yeah, where can I sign? And then to find out that they put it in toasters, I was mad.
So that there's been like 5 games released for M2 hardware, right?
Are you serious?
What?
Yeah, so that hardware that was being developed was picked up and used by Konami. And there are, I believe, 5 arcade games that use the M2 hardware.
Oh, offline, we've got to talk about this. I need to get that information from you. We'll talk offline on that one. That is amazing.
So one of the first ones to look up is something called Battle Tryst. It's like TRYST from Konami.
Okay.
It's a 1998 fighting game. Okay. And that game is based on the hardware. So yeah, there's a few others as well, but I think it's called like Konami System 16.
Okay.
Even though it's technically the M2, but it's
Konami jumped in and kind of took over as far as the hardware, or just
I don't actually know how it came to pass.
They licensed it out to everyone. Like that thing, we thought we were the only people in the room, and he was talking to us. He was talking to everybody in the room, and it was people that was there to purchase this tech. And I believe honestly that he sold it, because after that, we thought that the system was coming. We were ready for the next system, and heard that it sold off, and it was in toasters. Like I was like,
we'll definitely get into the M2 later. I was sorry for the tangent, but I had no idea about that. That's fantastic.
Dude, the 3DO is interesting. I do plan to do a DF retro on that and the Jaguar at some point.
Oh yes,
my Jaguar episode's been in the works for a while, but we'll get there. But the thing about 3DO that's interesting is it's like you look back, a lot of developers like really started to take off there. Like that's kind of like Naughty Dog took off there, right? That's where they started getting deals with Universal. And then Insomniac Games, we're talking about Spider-Man. I mean, they started working on 3DO first. Their first game, which was Disruptor, was originally a 3DO game. And like, those guys were working on that system. And it just seems like there's a lot of weird connections that started from the 3DO that spiraled out into all kinds of crazy areas.
Absolutely. What a crazy time, right? Oh my God.
Oh, I love that time. Yeah.
It was awesome. Nuts, man. Let's move on. So basically, obviously, Lord John, we know you as the benchmark, one of the benchmark guys, and you are kind of known as the human fraps. So when did that obsession with frame rate start? Like with frame pacing and just breaking down, like you are that guy when it comes to frame rate in this generation. How did that obsession start?
Man, it's kind of so. That goes back to this earlier story with Daytona USA. Is the first game that made me say like, okay, 60 FPS. And I went on a mission to get that at home. Like when I was buying 3D cards, I was always looking. It's like, they're just not as smooth as the arcade. This isn't Daytona. And that was the obsession. And it was, I think it was when I finally got the Dreamcast and started playing all those games again and just seeing that it really kind of hit home, like how much that mattered.
Absolutely.
And somehow I'm just really sensitive to like little disturbances in the fluidity
frame rate force.
It really sticks out in my eyes. Like I can't
like solve.
I think that is the key reason why I won't play PC, because I know I won't be able to come back.
Yeah, literally, I'm kind of the same way. Especially, I'm a Destiny fan, and I know what the PC guys are doing. I know myself. If I see that level of fidelity as well as frame rate, it will make me not want to go back to console.
So the weird thing about that, though, is I can deal with a lower frame rate as long as it's consistent, right?
Oh,
like, I just like my frames to be delivered evenly.
Yeah, we go.
I can put up with 30 frames. It depends on the game. For a lot of games, 30 FPS with motion blur looks good to me.
Right. Yeah,
but it's got
majority of games it does.
Yeah, it's generally good. But obviously, higher is always preferred. But
yes.
Part of it, though, has to do with the fact that, it's improving with different types of techniques. But when we moved to flat panels, it kind of killed didn't kill it, but it reduced the impact of 60 FPS. Have you guys looked at a CRT lately?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you look at those old tube televisions or monitors, and like the way motion looks on that is so much
better
than what you get on any modern display.
Absolutely.
Like, it's ridiculous how good it looks. Like especially an old PC monitor, you play it like 170 hertz or something on that thing with that perfect motion, and it's ridiculous looking. And yeah, that's the thing. And I really wish we could get back there. Like we're getting closer. Like there's a lot of like neat techniques, like black frame insertion or the ultra low motion blur. Those features that are starting to get there, but it's still not quite the same.
It's a jarring effect. Like when we first saw Tobal 13 or Tobal number 2.
Tobal number 2, yeah.
Yeah, when we first saw that on PlayStation, and that's when we knew what 60 frames per second looked like. Yeah, it was a flat shaded polygons, but the fluidity in the characters and the speed, that's when we knew it was something different. Like we understood at that point in time, we want more of this. This is what we want more of.
And just for reactionary and everything like that. And I even learned terms from you, like, just frame pace. And you be like, hey, the frame pace is a little off here. And like, now it would make my eye more perceptive because of you when I look at games. And I'm like, yeah, I see what he's talking about now. It's just not smooth.
The frame pacing term is kind of a weird one. I think we just kind of came up with that out of nowhere.
I love it.
You can call it all kinds of different things, I guess, but it's really just about like how long a frame persists on screen, right?
Right.
So like if you have frames that are on screen for variable amounts of time, it looks jerky. That's really all it is. And that whole frame time thing was for a while, like nobody really understood like what that was about. So like you get those dual graphics cards and SLI on the PC, and it introduced a lot of those problems. People always call it like micro stutter. And that's basically what it was. It was just the frames were persisting for different lengths of time, and it didn't look smooth, even if your frame rate was really high.
Absolutely.
So that was the issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, great, fantastic stuff there. Oh, we can go on. Now, I want to open up just a little bit for the Lords. I know Sav maybe you had like one or two before we move on, and anybody else want to jump in?
Oh, definitely. I mean, for me, I'm really interested to hear what you think about what's going on just for the next consoles that are coming down the pipeline. I mean, we're probably about 2 years away, year and a half, 2 years away from these next consoles. Yeah, I mean, they might be closer than we think. But this past week, the CEO of AMD sat down with Jim Cramer to talk about, sort of the turnaround of the company, and she specifically mentioned working with PlayStation and Xbox on the next iteration of their consoles, with Xbox specifically working on the cloud stuff and whatnot. But she used the term secret sauce, and it made me laugh. It made me laugh because it brought me back to 2013 when all the stuff coming out about the Xbox versus the PS4 and the whole ESRAM thing, and people were talking about how that would be a bottleneck, and how there was supposedly this secret sauce that would use the ESRAM in conjunction with
I remember that.
With DX12,
DX12,
right? And the cloud compute to sort of boost up the power of the system. So when she uses a term like that, like secret sauce, like what do you think that means technically, especially if we're looking forward to these consoles? Like, what do you think is reasonable to expect from these consoles coming down the pipeline, and what would you like to see? And is the secret sauce thing just jargon,
hyperbole?
I mean, I assume secret sauce is just them finding a way to accelerate some sort of operation that's useful for games in a way that you can do directly. It's like extra silicon to hopefully improve performance in very specific ways that also differentiates the box from the other, so like it's not identical machines. Because I can imagine like neither Sony or Microsoft really want to have like identical machines in the market. So I mean, I have no idea what it could be or what they're targeting, but what I'd like to see is essentially what NVIDIA is trying to do right now. The RTX cards. Like I don't think it's possible because of cost, but they could get RTX functionality. We could have ray tracing in some consoles, man. That would be sweet.
I think it's the next console.
I would think. I don't think it's these coming down the pipeline.
No, I don't think it's possible, especially because it's AMD. They're not there.
They're not there yet. But do you think maybe a mid-gen refresh of the next console, maybe 5 years down the line, maybe can incorporate some of that stuff?
Well, I think
further off than that.
If it were mid-gen, that would be a problem. I think because starting to integrate that existing platform, that just creates more of a split than I think that they'd like to have, and it's just. I mean, so I feel like that's the most exciting thing to see would be ray tracing, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I would imagine that the main push is just going to be pushing more in the direction we've been going, like better rasterized performance. So we're hitting 4K resolutions more easily.
Yes.
I mean, it's already impressive that we've been getting a surprising amount of native 4K games on the Xbox One X as is. It's kind of impressive, but I think it'll get, we'll get closer to hitting that more often.
Yes.
But it's just go ahead.
No, please finish, and then I'll follow up.
I'm just wondering about you see this gap again with the PC stuff. NVIDIA is pushing pretty hard with some new technology, and it's going to create this kind of gap. And I'm very curious to see how that's going to impact the two going forward. Like, I'm almost wondering, like, is this going to limit the potential of ray tracing in games anyway? Just because, not that it's, from what I've heard, it's not that difficult to implement in terms of, it's a DirectX 12 feature.
Yes,
and all that. So, it should be, and the stuff that we played, I played a bunch of RTX stuff already at the reveal event back at Gamescom. And, some of those developers there were just telling us, like, yeah, we had like 2 weeks to work on this on the final cards here. And, they implemented some amazing stuff, like that Battlefield stuff. Looks fantastic.
Outstanding.
How do you think the PC the PC gamers react to, obviously, the being excited about the tech? If you're a first adopter, you're going to jump on it regardless. But the fact that utilizing the tech at this point brings down performance in a way that PC gamers haven't necessarily been used to.
It's an interesting what I've been thinking about. I kind of feel like it comes down to when you came into PC gaming. If you're an old school PC gamer, you're gonna remember the days of where it's like, oh man, like I can't wait to the day when I can run at these settings, or when I actually get to this frame rate. Like, actually push. PC games were featuring technology that was forward looking, like stuff that you couldn't turn on when you bought it. Like, yeah, I could see what that looked like, but the hardware just doesn't exist yet. Like, that's what Crysis was about. And it was exciting to, like, see each new upgrade. You're pushing closer and closer to your what you want to see. But in the last decade, I feel like PC gaming's just become about, well, I'm just going to ramp up all the settings and the resolution to the max, and it better be perfect. That's what they want. That's what they expect. You're basically playing console games with some extra features, like some slight boost. It's just like boosting console performance rather than really pushing into new areas.
Correct.
And it's like, if you came in during that period, then I could see why, like, that seems unacceptable to do it. But for me, it's exciting. But at the same time, it's, I can understand, when they announce the price stuff, it's just like, it's these things are expensive, man. So
and not cheap.
It's not going to be for everybody.
No, it's not.
It's the ground floor of the future, and when you do that, it's disruptive in a way that's going to turn people off initially, and it's going to go through a lot of growing pains. But I think. Ultimately, we're going to get there. Maybe 10 years.
But that's what the PC is for. The PC has always been the testing ground for these growing pains to find out exactly what works, where, and how to implement that in a lower form in the consoles. So I always look to the PC. So when the ray tracing has been around for a while, but they are making it at a chip level in the card. So that is, it's going to reach a lot of these games. I just want to see what games are going to take advantage of it and see if I'm going to invest in said card.
Absolutely. Let me go. No, continue. I don't want to interrupt it.
I just wanted to make one more comparison. I think, what I would like to see is so the original Xbox used some sort of like variation based on the GeForce 3 chipset, but it was it was a different thing. But that introduced programmable shaders, right?
Yes.
The GeForce 3 was, like, I believe, the first consumer graphics card released in 2001 to support programmable shaders, and that's become hugely important to graphics.
Right.
And amazingly, the Xbox launched with that feature set.
Yes.
And it was early for shaders, like
very
limited compared to what we have now, but it was the start of something, and I feel like that really helped push graphics forward in a big way because the PC was improving in that, but the Xbox was still there So like developers were maybe more willing to invest in that. You couldn't do those things on a PlayStation 2. Though the PS2 was very interesting in its own right. It's a really fascinating piece of hardware, but it's different. So like that's why I would have liked to have, again, I don't think it's possible, but seeing some ray tracing in the console would remind me of when the GeForce 3 style
did that and implemented that.
ended up in the OG Xbox. So
I just think at this point, the fact that I think they both main console makers are dedicated to making machines that are more like PCs. I think what you're saying is couldn't be more of a reality, because they're not really creating these super like bespoke pieces of hardware that are very difficult to program for in their own rights. Like they should be fairly easy to program for. So yeah, I mean, my hope is that they're able to do something with this tech and shrink it down and sort of bring the price down within the next couple of years, so we can see this in console gaming. I would love that.
Yeah, I think the problem though is like it's being introduced now in the PC world, and the consoles are likely already well into development, and it's like
it's too late to probably implement right. Yeah,
it feels like it's too late and too expensive to really jump into that pool right now. I mean, it would be it'd be awesome, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe AMD's been secretly working on something.
secret sauce.
That's the sauce.
Let me jump in right quick, man.
Blastmaster processing too.
I remember Blast. Let me jump in right quick, because you guys got my mind working too, and I want to shout out Lord Corbin Dallas in the chat, who also was thinking along the same lines of me, which is we're talking about speculation as far as the next generation consoles and so forth. But like obviously the rumor, more secret store stuff, is that Microsoft is heading toward direction of maybe a cloud-based system, right, where cloud streaming technology is used, and maybe there's a device on the physical end that kind of handles the input and things that are kind of like generally detract and really attribute as far as latency is concerned. So again, I know this is speculation, Lord Linneman. I know this is rumor, but my question to you is that based on what we've heard, like, do you think if anyone is capable of ushering that kind of tech forward, would it be Microsoft as far as a cloud streaming system?
Oh, I mean, in terms of pulling that off, I think Microsoft is well positioned for it. Companies like Amazon are well positioned for it. Like the ones that these guys know that stuff. They're amazing with networking. They've got the money. They've got the hardware. They've got the backbone. I mean,
AWS with Amazon. Continue.
Exactly. So like they're kind of set up for it. And it's a weird one for me though, because it's fascinating tech, but it's also kind of an assault on my way of like
the traditional gamers always absolutely.
So I'm not that big of a fan of pushing in that direction, just because I don't want them to take my discs away.
I hear you, bro, but what was presented was an option.
See, if it's an optional service and it stays that way, and that's the key, is that it remains optional. It's a cool way to maybe draw some people in, especially if it's like you bundle it in with your TV and you buy an Xbox pad or something and you're playing. That's cool, but it's not for me, because I mean, no matter how fast you get, you're never going to get
the hardware,
super low latency. You're not going to get the perfect image quality. It's the same reason why movies I really care about, I'm buying the UHD Blu-ray version.
Oh my god, that's exactly what I talked about.
Oh
my god, Lord,
people get to a point for a long time where it's all streaming, and I think the reason Microsoft especially wouldn't try this is because I feel like they have one mess up a whole generation. I don't think they want to start the next generation with another mess up, because 2013, I honestly and truly think almost cost them the Xbox brand. I think another one, the generation right after it, I don't think they recovered.
It's an interesting one, because 2013, that was an era that turned me kind of against the Xbox for a short period, because when they started talking about that whole like game ownership thing and the always online thing, like that again felt like, I'm such a big collector, that felt like they were basically telling me like, nah, we don't want to do things the way you want to do it anymore. And I was very afraid of that becoming a thing.
That DRM
that turned me way off of them for a while. And so I will say though, like gotta hand it to these guys. The way they turn that ship around, man.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
I don't think
Shout out
that's
to Phil Spencer and who
all
did
those
that
hardworking
foliage.
people underneath him, though. Like, there's
Yes.
a lot of people there that really care.
Absolutely.
And honestly, you know, the people I've met from Microsoft, like, you know, and Sony and Nintendo as well. Like, these guys, like, there's a lot of really good folks there, like, really doing their best. They really care about this stuff.
Absolutely.
But like rerouting your ship like that when you have such a big company,
Navigate,
like changing that direction the way they did, that is very difficult.
It's like they. It's like
equated. Go ahead, Addict.
It's like they put a bomb on their own ship, and when it exploded, they rebuilt a ship before it sank.
They were just a little bit more. They were ambitious and a little bit more forward thinking.
No, it's landing in Pachinki with a pistol and making it out. That's exactly what it is. And they landed in Pachinki with a pistol and they made it out, and they going for that chicken dinner.
I low-key feel like from here going forward, Microsoft isn't going to try to do like jumps like that for a while.
I think they're not going to force it. Like you said, it's going to be optional. They're going to keep moving forward. I don't think they ever stop being the ones that try to push the industry forward. I just think they realize that the messaging around it has to be
very clear.
It has to be clear, and they have to give players choice. You know, Phil has said, he said, I don't ever see a future where you don't have a Microsoft, an Xbox box in your house, whatever that may be. So, I mean, it's just a matter of how you message it. If we look back at 2013, a lot of the stuff that they talked about that we thought was cool has come to light or is in the process of coming to light. It was just the negative stuff around the ownership that was bad and
the bad messaging, because no one truly understood how these things worked. So it created this fear, like, hey, am I losing?
Shout out to Sony.
And shout out to Sony for
I love Sony for what they did.
One of the greatest. You know what I'm saying? Between was it House?
The video when he said, "This is how we share games."
Yeah. Who was the two?
It was
insane trolling right
2013. Well, it was definitely really rough for Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, it was downhill at that point.
You feel like Don really shouldn't have been there for interviews.
Yeah,
like you look at the interviews he was doing back there.
He said, "Get a 360, let him in."
Dude, like that was a PR nightmare right there. Like, I'm sure the other guys at the office, when they see that happen, they're just like, "Oh no, Don!"
I bet you when PR saw that, they're like, "Yo, someone got to talk to someone. He got to go." Like, how do we cover that up? There's no way to cover that up.
There's a meme on the internet that I thought was hilarious. Like, there's like a burning city, almost like decay, and then they have his face, and it's like, "My work here is done," and I passed out. Like, it was the funniest thing. I mean, thank God for Phil's dog, only Lord and begotten Son, Phil Spencer, for jumping on the burning ship, man. Because
but you know what, and I'm gonna say
a PR nightmare.
I'm gonna say this, right? Some of the stuff that Don has put into place and has come to pass has benefited Microsoft. Maybe the messaging was wrong, maybe it was off, right? And you know, sometimes the way somebody comes off, you may not like his approach. Right. So what they did was they put in a different head coach. And I'm gonna tell you, I mean, some people really say, "Oh no, Phil is too soft, and Phil is this and Phil is that." Okay, to navigate, like you said, through these shark-infested waters to get to where he is, and when I say him, you know, I've met Mikey Barra. I've talked to these guys. Salute to these real human individuals that they love. They, you know, what
they love gaming.
I agree. Right. I agree.
And you always have the president or the face of the company, and if the face of the company reflects the people that's under him, which are great people, then you know they're going to lead to great things. So I honestly believe that everything that they pointed to Don, they probably didn't like his approach. Whereas Phil's approach is a little bit more strategic, but everything that was against them, he took off the board. Power narrative this way. Put the system in Digital Foundry's hands and let them present it to the people instead of us presenting it to the people, so they can understand that we have no control over that. Let them say what they're going to say and let them, you know, dissect the system. I thought it was complete genius in doing that, so they can say we're hands off, and whatever they say, being that y'all listen to them, is right? Okay. So, and we listen, and I think that's probably the most. I think I watched that video probably at least once a month, maybe, just to go back to it.
Once a month.
Just because that was the turning point. That was the point, the aha moment when I said, yeah, they
go in the right direction. And like I said, it helps that Phil comes from, Microsoft Studios, the culture. He's kind of built his way through up, as opposed to, someone kind of on the outside or more of a corporate attitude or what have you. So it's just good to see them turn around that thing in the right direction. We got a lot of shows. We got to move on. But what the last thing, unless Saul's got anything else, is that I definitely wanted to get in, as far as the personal request from me was, would you ever, one thing I think you do great with DF Retro, right? I think, would you ever consider doing like a DF Retro deep dive, like on like the unsung portables of the past? Because the reason why I brought it up is I saw that video you did where you was like, hey, you got your Nintendo Switch guys, I know you hype up, but then you brought out the Genesis Nomad. And you were like, this is the first. Like, that was amazing to me. So would you ever think of like doing like something on the old portables? Because I actually was a huge fan of portables, and I know you said Game Boy was one of yours. Like I had the links. I remember the game.
I got a couple right here.
Oh my man! Well, you got a couple links.
Turbo Express, and I think you're the only one kind of championing that the handhelds. People don't realize the handhelds.
Hold up a second. Let me just reach over here.
Let's go.
I got it. I got my links right here in my hand.
Woo! Damn, I wish you had the camera today. Damn.
Remember when we used to link up and we used to play the skateboard game?
And Tower Links had eight
California games. Like,
you had Slime World. Now let me ask you. Let me continue, and then I want to ask you another question.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So yeah, I would definitely love to do more of that. Oh, yes. And the only reason I don't do is the handheld stuff is tough. First of all, doing systems in general is tough because there's a lot to cover. But with handhelds, there's both the capture and the filming element. So like I did in that No Man episode, I had to film a lot of stuff. Yeah. And since I'm a one-man show here, setting all that doing all the camera work, like filming outside and getting all the different angles of the system, that just takes a lot of time.
Absolutely.
And I guess I did film some of those systems in that episode, if I remember. Like I had footage of Game Gear and links.
You had me hyped. I'm like, oh, it's coming. It's coming.
The thing though is like to get those camera angles looking good is like the most uncomfortable thing ever. Like you have to contort your arms in the weirdest way, and you can barely see the screen, and you're just trying to make it look like you're playing the game casually, but you're like not.
Who do I have to speak to, Richard? Do we have to get Lord Ledbetter on the phone? We need DF Retro, full segments, full blowouts, old consoles, the whole works, man. We need this in our life.
Yeah, I definitely want to do more of those. And like I said, the Jag and the 3DO are certainly up on the list. Those will be, the Jaguar is probably going to come first because I'm borrowing a bunch of cartridges from a fellow very nice guy. That
is going to be hilarious.
That's going to be hilarious. Get that Cybermorph and get that Alien vs. Predator.
The Jag is interesting because there's some great games on there, and then there's also some really bad games.
Oh yeah,
it is an interesting mix.
No. Let's keep it pushing, y'all. We got a lot to go as far as everybody. It's good. You good? Okay, that's off.
Or like much like the prior question. In terms of the Nintendo Switch, then what would you like to see in a Switch 2.0? Like in terms of like, is Tegra 2 even still viable, or is there something out there more powerful?
You know what?
Tegra 2 is pretty. Yeah, what's that?
I don't want to know what you want to see. No, I don't. We don't.
No, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him right now. Don't listen to him. Yeah.
So Tegra 2 is used more in like automobiles. It's not really that.
Wow.
It's not really anything significant over the regular Tegra. So what I would actually like to see right now with the Switch, because it's still relatively new, is essentially I want to see the Super Dock. I want a dock that you plug it into with extra power. I'm not sure how this would work. I'm not sure if even the connection between the system and that is even fast enough to support this. Like there's still a lot that I don't know about this, but if it is, I would like to be able to plug it in and get higher resolutions and maybe some better performance. Just something to spice up the docked experience.
Okay.
Because in handheld mode, I still think Switch games generally look awesome.
Me too.
Like, you know, it's for portable gaming, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
But when you dock it with your TV, you know, you start it's like, all right, you know, it looks good enough.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you right there.
When you're playing, when I was covering the amazing ports of Wolfenstein 2 and Doom to the Switch, which I feel like they shouldn't even been possible, but you blow that up on a 65-inch 4K screen, and it's like, when it drops to like 360p, you're just like,
listen, I'm with you, and that's for people that understand. Like, that's why it's only for my portable purposes. Because when I come home, like you said, Lord Linneman, it's tough for me to throw that in that dock. When I have the Xbox One X there, the PS4 Pro, it's tough to be playing their version of Doom at home. It's just tough, man.
I think that dock thing is great. I think if you look at what some like laptops are doing now with PCs, allowing you to connect your desktop GPUs to it. Yeah,
you're wishing on a star.
That is true. It is Nintendo we're talking about. That's true.
One thing to keep in mind, though, is Nintendo does have a history of upgrading the portables, right?
Yes.
The Game Boy Color was just an enhanced Game Boy. The DS had the DSi, which was slightly more powerful, I think, and had a few extra features. The 3DS had the new 3DS, which had a significantly faster hardware in there. And so they've done this stuff before where they, release a
Lord Linneman, I must say this. They do not view that system as a handheld.
No, they don't. It is, man.
It totally is.
Listen, it is not, because they have a new 3DS that's coming. So yeah, they really view it as a home system. Now, we might get a RAM expansion pack. Remember that for the N64?
Yeah.
And that's the only precedence that I can say that I can look back and say, okay, they understood what was needed. And if it's an outcry that's loud enough, because the dock does have that space in the back that something should connect and fit in there. And I think it was forward thinking in saying that we can do this later on, because we didn't know with the N64 when we opened it what would go in there, but they knew.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so that's what we got. We got to push, y'all. We definitely behind right now.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Yeah, we got to go. But last thing, and then we're going to the topic stuff. The name. I need to know this, and we'll move on. Dark 1X. What is the science behind the damn name?
That's an old name from the 90s, and believe it or not, it actually came from a Quake mod that I was working on that I just called Dark. And I was trying to make something with using the Reaper bots that Stephen Poles did, and somehow modify them but put them in like a much larger kind of map environment. But only put like 2 in there, and it was like a really dark map, and the idea was like you were being hunted.
Nice. I like
it. Sounds cooler in concept than
an execution.
An execution, because I didn't have the skills to really change. I just played around with some of that, basically sticking them in maps that I made, and I had grand vision, but it didn't. It was just a little bit of a.
Oh, good.
I dare even say mod. It was just making a map and then trying to do stuff with it. I drew some textures and stuff, trying to just messing around with that. I messed around a lot with the Quake engine stuff and the Duke 3D, the build editor. I used to make stuff in Duke Nukem 3D, but yeah, that's the name originates from that.
Okay,
honestly. And I think the X was added just because I tried to join a forum and the Dark 1 was taken or something, or
you had to put the X
added an X.
Dark 1X.
I see. You know what's sad? I will come up with a whole new name before I have to put numbers or anything in my name. I don't know why. Every time, because Gaming Addict has took on Xbox, they're like, just put a 1 or 2. I'm like, no, I will say Room to Kill before I go to some whack ass Gaming Addict number 8. Okay, it's not happening.
We working. We will speak. Shout out to Lord Don McCullough, Dan McCullough. We had on the shows for head of Xbox Live. We're working on that as far as Xbox Live gamer tag retention. So it's coming soon. We got you, Addict. Don't worry about it. But now I'm glad you explained that, because I just thought the name was cool. I just was like, wait, what's the story behind this? This is a very cool name.
That is a circa 1998 name.
Total 90s
Shout out to
name.
98. That's what's up. All right, this is the last thing. We put all the lords, the guests on the realm on the hot seat. Lord Linneman, top 5 video games or franchises of all time. In your
Are you
opinion.
kidding me with this?
Let's go. On the spot. Digital Foundry. Let's go.
Oh gosh, I'm just gonna name some franchises. I think rather than specific games, but I might go with like Mario, Sonic, Halo, Metal Gear, and gosh,
that's a good list. Okay, one more.
There's just like a million other things I could stick in there. It's just off the top of my head. I almost like turning around, looking at the wall.
Looking at the
I'll throw in something like, I don't know, Mega Man.
Okay, all right.
That's just like,
one of the first people when I put Zelda.
Yeah, you're one of the first. I'm impressed.
I put those in though. All of those games are series like in the various iterations that I go back to and I play a lot. Like I love those games. I play them all the time, like Super Mario World, the classic Sonic games, the Halo games, of course, all these games, Mega Man. Like I don't get tired of playing these games.
Yeah,
right.
And for that reason, there's stuff I've enjoyed a lot as well. But those just kind of stick out for me as like the long term. Like I can go back here and I always have a good time.
Absolutely, man. Fantastic list.
Real quick on Halo, are we going to be getting a breakdown of the Master Chief Collection 4K at any point?
Ah, man, that's so that hit it like the worst time because all these other things are coming out, and then I have to do these 2 shows in like England and Berlin, and I've been playing it, and it's the patch is interesting because the main change is really like. It runs in high res and they added HDR. It didn't actually fix some of my complaints. So if you watch the Halo video I did on DF Retro,
yes,
one of the issues I always had with the Halo 1 port, and Halo 1 is like that's my jam right there.
Yeah, that's what
all the versions that came after the original Xbox were like derived from like the work that was done on the PC version. And there's a lot of like visual glitches and just things that aren't quite right, and I've always hoped that they could just like find a way to get it looking as it should. Like you go into Assault in the control room, you look up outdoors and it's like black, like it's supposed to be like this foggy looking sky on the original Xbox, but on this it's like it's fog and it just ends at a certain point and it's like stark black or something. Like, it just looks incorrect, and it's or you go to Silent Cartographer, even on the new one, it's especially obvious. You look at the horizon where the water meets the sky, and there's just this big old blue band that runs around the edge between. Like, who cares? It's a small little detail, but those things like stick out, and it's just like
I got you.
Really had hoped to see all of that stuff fixed, but I understand maybe why it wasn't, because I mean that's not an easy thing to address, but still.
So it's more of those minute details, more like also skybox kind of things, or is it like just?
It's a lot of minutia like that. Some of the effects look right. Some of the way the textures work, things like that. And it's mostly Halo 1 that's the issue, and it's the oldest, so I get it. But Halo 1 has never been perfectly replicated from its original Xbox form. And so but the rest of the pack, pretty Halo 4 has a LOD bug where like stuff kind of pops in rather than fades in like it's supposed to. Halo 2 Anniversary looks awesome, but it has some extra slowdown, I guess, but overall it looks fantastic. I don't really like the way Halo 1 Anniversary looks, the anniversary graphics, but I love what they did for Halo 2.
Yeah,
that's an especially because Halo 2's graphics, especially when you blow them up in high res, like the original graphics, they haven't aged well. They were trying some new techniques, and it was cool at the time, but it doesn't hold up. Halo 1 holds up better, but the remake that they did, kind of that's awesome.
All right, gotta address a question quick in the chat. The chat is talking about, shout out to Mr. Adam. He said that you guys said that there would be a DF Retro on Turok 1 and 2, and he's like, we've never got it yet.
I can explain that.
Okay.
So when I wanted to do that one, I was really hell bent on getting footage from a lot of different 3D graphics cards, like real 3D graphics cards in a retro PC that the PC version supported, because I think the PC version is interesting. So I reached out to a friend who actually has all that hardware, because I don't have that much retro PC hardware right now.
Gotcha.
It's just difficult to store it all. So he was helping me capture, and it's like it just, he was going through some life stuff and things were, difficult, and I know he captured stuff, and then I haven't heard back forever, so it's pretty much just me waiting on that and hoping that someday I get it. But if I can't get it, in the next few months, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to proceed without it. But I really wanted to do it that way with that stuff to really show legitimately what it looks like running on like the old ATI Rage cards, on 3DFX cards, on the rendition cards, on the old NVIDIA cards, like just to give people an idea of how the cards varied so much back then. So
absolutely, shout out to
my plans were big, and it hasn't worked out yet.
But it wasn't. It's not your fault though. You're waiting on someone who didn't deliver.
But you also have people sitting here waiting, and that's a good thing.
Exactly.
He said he's not letting that go.
All right, Lord Chat, stop attacking John Linneman now. Stop attacking the Lord. He's letting you know. He gave you the background. What happened?
Yeah.
I got you. Turok will happen because I do love that game.
Salute the Lord Linneman. All right, last week's poll results are in, and the people have spoken to the question: with the initial momentum of the Spider-Man PS4 launch, do you anticipate Spider-Man surpassing God of War in first month sales numbers? The winner at 70% in a dominant three-way ILP poll is the yes. Marvel and Spidey momentum is too huge to stop group. Coming in at 18% in second place was the no, God of War is a once-in-a-generation masterpiece group. And coming in at last place at 12% was I don't care, all my money is going to NBA 2K VC group. The Lords who participated in the poll. I'm going to ask this to Lord King. Lord King!
Hey, how are you?
How do you feel about this, considering you have a bet with Lord Addict?
Well, me and my little buddy here, we actually feel great about our position in this race. We would like to accept the award now.
You want to accept it early before the numbers come out?
You can get on your knee now if you choose.
Lord Spider-Man, the whole month.
Lord Spider-Man has spoken.
Lord Addict, real quickly, your rebuttal to the poll results.
I think I'll wait for the whole month.
No, you should do that. You should just sit there and wait for those numbers to come rolling in.
Lord Linneman, if you had a guess, what would you pick?
I mean, I got to go with Spider-Man just because freaking it's Marvel and Spider-Man and like his big first party game. Like these kind of it's one of those events. Like you see how big this stuff is lately. Like
it's amazing. It's the marketing as well. It's been tremendous.
It's gonna do well.
Absolutely. We'll have a new poll cooking up at the end of the show. Let's fly through these topics. We are running late. So let's get into it. Lord Sov, we had a direct.
We finally got that direct. We finally got the direct that we were supposed to get about a week and a half ago but the earthquake in Hokkaido kind of held that up. So let's go through some of the main points of the direct. In terms, I'm totally happy that Switch continues to be a port machine. Give me all those ports.
Let's go.
So next year we'll be getting new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which I knew was coming, and at some point we're probably gonna get an announcement about Super Mario. What you call it? What the heck? The Super Mario Maker. At some point we're probably gonna get that. In terms of new announcements, we got City Skylines that's coming.
Yes. That's a big game to go on the Switch.
That's a huge game.
It is on the Switch.
Hopefully it can do it.
I've seen some early stuff on that. It doesn't look so great.
I saw it moving. It doesn't look super great, but if they can get it, yeah, I agree.
It's gonna go to original Game Boy monochrome.
Oh my God! Continue, Lord.
We're getting a new RPG from Game Freak that is not Pokemon related, called Town. Well, the name right now is Town. Which is just interesting, the fact they're doing something other than Pokemon. Then we got a name for the Yoshi game. It's called Yoshi's Crafted World. It looks very cutesy.
You notice there was slowdown in that, by the way?
Yep.
I love this guy.
Uncharacteristic of an intent. Well,
your analysis is pleasing Lord King right now.
But hey, it's also an Unreal Engine 4 game, which I thought was kind of funny.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like what? It's like a Yoshi game, like basically a first party Yoshi game. It's made with Unreal. All right.
All right.
Okay.
And in terms of the two biggest announcements in terms of new stuff, so we're getting a Luigi's Mansion 3 coming out next year.
Thank you.
And finally, Animal Crossing is coming to the Switch next year as well.
Yes, big.
I just want to shout out to Nintendo for being some of the biggest trolls ever. I was watching a reaction, and my man Kofi literally thought they were just announcing him
as a character in Smash.
A character in Smash. I thought he was about to start crying on stream. Like,
I was kind of waiting for them to like finish that up, and then all of a sudden, like Waluigi shows up. Just to please the fans.
He was like, you should have seen his face, man. He's like, I just got finessed. No,
no doubt. That was a good close, man. So continue, Sam. I'm sorry.
I think it was a great direct for them. I think
it was the best direct they've ever had.
Coming from
they were talking about what's with Nintendo. It's always the worry about what's coming next in terms of first party. They've been able to fill a lot of the void with great indie support. And now they're showing what they have coming down the pipeline for next year. They have
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3. You have Animal Crossing, Metroid maybe, and maybe some other stuff that's unannounced.
Oh God,
here we got a PNG.
King's gonna throw water on our parade. Go ahead,
of course.
Listen, I'm not saying anything. All I want, I didn't watch it, and I'm not gonna do it.
Oh my God, you didn't even watch it?
Listen. This is what I'm gonna say. All right. I took the gist of it. I had so many inboxes in my Twitter about the fact that they are actually bringing original content, so I can just get off my high horse and stop, raining down on you guys. And what actually put me off, and you already know what put me off, is I purchased these games for my Wii U, which is actually viable, which I actually use. I use my Wii U.
It's not viable. No, it's not viable.
It's not viable to you, sir. To you, sir. I got my original tablet that I play. All right.
I have mine too in the closet.
See, but I purchased those games. I actually supported them, and I'm not going to repurchase these games just to say I can move away from the TV to go upstairs to play them. No, all right. So I'm happy with original content games, and I do look forward to those games. That's it. I'm not even going to go at your direct. I'm not going to bother your direct. Listen, me taking Lord Addict's word for it, and Addict is saying that it is the best direct that they had. Kudos to you. I'm going to watch, but I got burnt with the last direct that I watched at E3.
Yes,
and I sat there with LordCognito, me and him alone. We started in a room of 15, and it was down to 2 people.
Yeah, shout out PlayStation, bro. Shout out Sam Tolbert. Shout out Lord Gary, the crew, all our LA crew. Dior and yeah, we were not happy with that direct. As great as Smash Brothers were, we just were happy.
Just please. I need to build up the courage to watch it again.
let me jump in, Solve, when you finish, because I got a lot to say on this.
I mean, I just think I'm not even mad at them for continuing to support 3DS, man. At this point, 3DS is also a port machine. They're getting Bowser's Inside Story. You're getting Kirby's Epic Yarn coming to 3DS.
Also, we got Starlink for Switch. That was a big one too.
Right, that was big with the Star Fox.
Do you actually care about this game? Let's be real.
Yeah, no, actually, let me tell you, I didn't until I got a chance to go behind the scenes at E3 with it. And I didn't care about the toy portion. There's like a toy component.
I think that game looks amazing.
The toy part is cool. Obviously I don't care about that kind of stuff, but I noticed a lot of the kids and a lot of people that were playing it, they were big on the toy thing. But the game really felt like a spiritual successor to Star Fox, and they have Star Fox character integration. I thought it looked cool. Like I actually have a video up on ILP about it. I thought it was cool.
The fact that you're able to take the toy in real time and to remove weapons off the toy and to put it back on, and that toy is interacting in real time. Nintendo again has struck gold. I love their amiibo line, so I think I'm going to purchase and stay very close to this game. This is original content, and they're using the system in different, unique ways.
Absolutely.
All right, I didn't buy that cardboard stuff. All right, But I still got my cardboard. I'm waiting for them to make this viable.
Oh my god! Continue, son, because I'm ready to jump.
Definitely do it.
Yeah. So they kind of broke down the Nintendo Online service, which is going to start on the 18th officially. They talked about the 20 NES games, and I think if there's anything to really attack them on, it's the details of this that we've been talking about for forever ad nauseum.
Online service.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll see how this stuff evolves over time. And then down to the reason why Addict thinks it's the best direct ever. There's a whole lot of Final Fantasy coming to Switch as well as Xbox and PlayStation.
Yes. I'll take my Xbox, please. Thank you.
Man, if you're ready, just I'm ready. I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah, so definitely jump in.
Man. First of all, what I'm saying, before I even get into it, I want to salute good friend to the realm, Lord MPD Zone, Lord Matt Piscatella. Because prior to this and then after this, he's remained consistent. And he said with his Nintendo Switch predictions, he remains bullish on the Switch. Now, remember, he broke the internet early this year. He had the Nintendo Switch on track to be the best-selling console of Q4 in 2018. And he solely based it on the hype of the Pokemon Let's Go games and Smash. Now, I got to keep it real with y'all. And I'm going to have a confession. Lord Addict King going to be surprised what I'm about to say. The thing is, coming in, obviously you guys know I'm a huge Switch guy, but coming into 2018, I gotta be real with y'all. Not that I was losing confidence, I just wasn't happy. I almost felt like they were sitting on their laurels, of we got Smash, we've had Pokemon at the end of the year. So to me, it almost felt like theoretically they were coasting. Not that they didn't have any games, they had a lot of indie.
You felt finessed?
low key, because they had such a tremendous first year, and it almost felt like it was banger after banger every other month. Whether it was a new IP, whether it was Splatoon, whether it was ARMS, it was something consistent. And I love that launch of 2017, but 2018 I just felt was very slow as far as the big titles, and it was just way too indie dominant.
Let me just jump in real quick.
Let's go. Come on, Linneman. Let's go.
So, I mean, you say the first year was all bangers, and you're absolutely right. And that's the issue. Like, all their development teams are working on those games. They finished those games, and now it's like, all right, next year, what are they doing? Well, they're making more games, but they can't. They're obviously not going to be able to hit 2018 because they just finished those other big games. So
you're correct.
I think that's really the main thing is they put so much effort into getting all of that stuff out in year one on the Switch that they kind of ran dry.
Yes.
And so all the other projects are building up behind the scenes. That's why we're seeing a lot of ports as well. And this Direct, I think, was kind of a hint at some of the stuff to come. I'm sure there's still plenty more. I mean, what are the Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild guys doing? Like, who knows? But we probably won't see it for another 2 or 3 years. But
I doubt we'll see another Zelda for the whole generation.
I think they're working on the real system, the 3DS, and I think we're gonna see those games come out for the 3DS. Shout out to 3DS.
Let me finish, but Lord Linneman, you are correct, and maybe I am just a bit greedy because, like you said, the 2017 was so great, the bar was set so high, and like you said, now those teams may be working on other things. And again, it wasn't an awful year, and make no mistake, financially they're still doing fine. MP they are still doing great. Octopath Traveler, that one. They doing so well. It just, like I said, I just selfishly felt, okay, I want more. Like I want that taste that I had before.
Oh, me too. Yeah, we all do.
Absolutely. So now when this Direct come and King is accurate with the E3 Direct, I was expecting bigger things.
Yeah, me too.
I was disappointed because to me it felt too Smash focused, and it almost felt like, hey man, you guys can save some of this stuff for later. Like, you don't have to give us all this information. So now with this Direct, let's bring it all in to this Direct. I can't front. This gave me renewed confidence, and it just showed that not only is the future bright, we still have stuff coming this year. I love the Warframe announcement. I thought that was cool. I thought the Diablo announcement was cool. Civilization was a big get. Obviously the Luigi game. Obviously, the what you call it, the what's the other big one, the Animal Crossing. So it's just like, and I ain't gonna lie, I had low expectation for the online. I still do. I still hate the fact that there's no dedicated voice chat, even though
Yeah,
hardware-wise,
for sure.
we know they can do it, Lord Linneman. We know that.
We don't know that they can do it.
You know what's funny? Tell
The
me,
Wii U could do this.
Thank you, Lord Linneman. Preach the gospel.
You know what's
Preach the
funny?
gospel.
I want to say this, right? I want to say, hold on 1 second, Addict, because I have allowed this stuff to go on for as long as I have allowed it to go on, and they keep rubbing it in my nose. So I just want to say this, right? At what point in time does potential turn into waste, right?
Oh, you're right.
So they have a ton of potential, and they could potentially do it, but they're potentially not going to get it done. And they could. I'm tired of hearing the potential part of you brought the headset. Do you remember? I just want to take you back to your initial purchase.
Yes,
I want
it
you.
works, though. You know
when
what?
I told
used it
you
for Fortnite. Finally.
Yeah, you used it for Fortnite with your cell phone.
Yeah, no. With that,
with the actual system, you did a workaround.
In front of me, every ILP that I've used, like, LordCognito, why did you buy this stupid headset? You know the Switch is not going to support that. I'm telling you, and you were correct until finally I got a chance to use it because there is a game that supports natural voice chat with the headset, and it's Fortnite. And it's
the game
platform.
The game that you don't really like. But listen here, I listen. I must say this, right? You held on to your guns, and they finally gave you one game to use your $60 headset on. God bless you.
I can't come back from that. He's got me.
Yeah, listen. I expect more. I demand more. Where's Netflix on this little thing? I'm really upset with the fact that I told you guys I saw the tea leaves, and Nintendo hand must be forced. They must be thrown down the well in order to climb out. And right now, they are not nowhere near the well. They are winning. And that's how I lost that bet. You know why? Because I can't understand how they're winning. I really can't understand it. And I can't get a grasp on it because they're doing everything that you're supposed to fail. If any one of these systems told you, if Microsoft or Sony told you, oh, we're going to launch online, it's going to be $20. There's no voice chat.
It is an app.
And you'll say, oh, I'm not buying that. I'm not a part of that. You guys actually said yes. And what made it worse is they said, listen, you can purchase this online stuff with us because after this day, you can't change your name. You're locked in. And you said, all right. And they said, listen, also, whatever games you did save there, if you miss a payment, they're dead. They're white. They're gone. And you said, okay, for life. And they're still winning. Listen. So I have no excuses. I have no words for you guys. You guys are. This is a cult. It's a cult now. It's a cult.
Let me think that I'll give the Lord a little bit of Addict. Like basically, yeah. Get Addict. I hear you talking. Matter of fact, get it, Addict. I'll let you talk a bit.
No, I mean,
you can go.
Just one of those quick points on there is stuff like missing services like Netflix and such. It's like you really need Netflix on the Switch. I mean, you probably got it on the TV, on the Xbox, got it on your phone.
That
like,
would be nice, though.
I mean, it's like
I want to watch Digital Foundry. I want my YouTube. I want Digital Foundry on my Switch.
All right, I can't argue with that.
Listen, I hear you, and it is like Lord King said. It is astounding that certain basic console features that should be there I mean, even the Vita had party chat and a dedicated service in reference to that. And that's older hardware in their previous iteration with the Wii.
Dude, you want to go beyond that? I just did that video on the 360 conference. Like Microsoft was doing this stuff in 2005.
Thank you. It
like, to be fair, Lord Linneman, you can't even send messages to your friends.
Messages.
Like, what's funny is
glorified stalker list.
I am so used to modern technology. Like when I play my Switch and like something pops up, oh, LordCognito's on. Like I expect when I click his name, it goes to his profile. If you click his name, it's just like, what are you trying to do? This ain't
Xbox. It just says that LordCognito, played Zelda for 8 hours.
That's pretty much all it's for, is to let you know what your friends might be doing.
Do anything else. Exactly. Glorified stalker list. But I will say this. Again, with all the snafus of things that should be obviously handled, I have to say the NES online games kind of impressed me though. I got my pro wrestling. I got the classic Ninja Gate in there, and then they had the I believe they also had this wasn't on NES online, but the Capcom beat 'em up pack was announced, and then obviously Final Fantasy, which is Addict's Heart. I thought that was huge. And the
cult.
final point I will say is that for the direct itself, I really, really feel this is not a shot at my guys. I love Xbox, but Inside Xbox really needs to take a cue from these guys because, again, it was short, it was concise, information packed, and at the very end, a nice little tribute, a nice little fake out, a nice little one more thing moment. They did Nintendo the king of that, and Sony does that very well too. Where it just,
I knew they had something when they opened up with Luigi's Mansion. I knew they had something.
Can I ask you a question? The Kool-Aid that y'all drinking, is it grape or is it strawberry? Because I'm sitting here drinking berry and it don't taste as good as yours, I guess, because y'all are all the way in.
I just thought that as a show, in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, they just pack up.
I like
boom. Information, nice surprise, nice fan service. But I'm done ranting. Lord Linneman, floor is yours. What did you think about the direct? What stood out to you in your impression?
Oh, I mean, I already said Luigi's Mansion 3, so that's kind of up there. No, I mean, it's great to see more stuff kind of in the works from Nintendo, and I'm happy that we actually got that stuff after the E3 Direct, which was just Smash.
Yes, the Smash E3.
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a look at Metroid, and we didn't get to see whatever Retro Studios is working on. I mean, I guess Tropical Freeze, which was a port, came out recently on the Switch, but they have to be working on something. We've heard those rumors about the Star Fox racing game, and I mean, that sounds weird, but I'm absolutely willing to see what it becomes. It's a fascinating thing. So
at this point, we're willing to do anything to play something on the Switch.
The hate. Continue.
Just hate for no reason.
It's not no reason.
There's a reason. This is a reason. Like, if you see your people going down a rabbit hole, you got to tell them don't go, and y'all are going.
The thing is that you two in particular do not see the Switch for what it really is. Yes, they want to market it to you as a home console.
It doesn't matter because they market it as a console. It doesn't matter though. They market to you as a console.
I don't play it that way at all.
But it doesn't matter how you play it. They market it as a console.
Time out. So you just said we don't see what we seeing with our two eyes?
No, you don't choose to play it. You don't choose to play it. Am I going to come home and put my Switch in the dock and play that above my X on my PS4 90% of the time? No, I'm not. And you guys don't play it on the go.
So the fact that you guys don't utilize it in the form that it has the advantage of, that's y'all problem.
I hear that.
That is a you problem.
I'm not talking about. I've never attacked the fact that it's a dual system. I actually champion that. All right. I actually think that's a great thing because remember, I have my NVIDIA Shield. I was the guy running around with the Shield. All right. And every iteration that it popped up, I purchased. So when I noticed the chipset was inside the Switch, I said, man, they on it. Their cloud situation is going to be fantastic. I told you NVIDIA was doing great things with the cloud that I think it can transport right over or port over to the Switch in a way. When I played the Resident Evil, I was like, oh, it looks like PlayStation type graphics. It's really good. I'm with this part, right? But then when you tell me we giveth and we taketh away, like I'm not about the taketh away part. Like stop taking everything away. Well, the sound that just somebody in the chat just said is a text me system. Like it's like you hop on, you see your boy, you can't jump in and say, hey, what's going on? No, you text him, I'm on.
Once again, you guys care. I don't care that I don't need to know what you're doing all the time.
You always come at me over the Attic world, and you're doing the whole thing right now.
I don't. The thing
I
is,
didn't even think this would go this long. I really honestly tried to shut up, and I really thought we was going to be. I see my topic is not going to get done today.
You're attacking the viability of the machine because of how you choose to engage with it.
No, but the exact reason on the other side is how you choose to engage it.
True.
But that's how. I would say this, and I'm gonna make a blanket statement here. I would say most people that are especially older gamers that are into the Switch big time, it's for that reason. Why are you avoiding my topic? Why are you avoiding my problems with it? My problem is not what you're trying to say. You're trying to give me fake news. What I'm trying to say is
They told you recently, the other day, if you cancel our subscription, the saves is dead. They told you at this certain day you can no longer get rid of your name off of this Switch. It's bonded to you. Like it's certain.
If you cancel Xbox Live,
you can't buy a console either.
Xbox Live, all your games are gold gone.
Yeah, that is true too.
If you cancel Xbox Live, your games are gold gone.
Very true.
Okay,
Then it wasn't yours to begin with. You're talking about saves compared to games that they lend you for purchasing the system.
And I'm not defending them, but I'm just saying, like,
you just defended right there. That was the whole thing that you just did. You just showed me that I mess with Microsoft, and if I stop doing this, this goes away.
You're
right. That's a defense.
You just want them to be Microsoft.
No. Okay. Here's the thing about this. This is the big problem with the Switch in terms of that's very specific area, and it's the save system. Essentially, users have no way to keep their saves. There's no way to copy it to USB. There's no way to back this up, and everything is tied to that specific system.
Yeah, problem.
That's the big problem still with the Switch is everything is limited or set up kind of per system, right? So I have two Switches here because one of them is modded for portable capture. So if I own a game digitally, which I don't have that many digital games in Switch, but I wanted to use that account on the other Switch, can't do it without like basically turning one of them from the primary to the secondary and that kind of stuff. It's a huge pain in the ass. So all of that stuff is backwards and it needs to be fixed. I'm not sure it will be, but it does. But I think the reason the Switch is appealing still to me and a lot of others is that it's kind of feels like old school console gaming in a way. Like it's almost it that comes with some negatives and positives, obviously, but this is just like I mostly buy Switch games on their little cards, and it's very old school. You pop the card in the system. The menu is as simple as like the Dreamcast menu. It's just a few icons. It's very, very fast.
Very minimalistic.
It's super minimalistic. It's all about slamming that card in your system and you play the game. And it's a different thing. I wouldn't say I want all systems to be this way, but I appreciate that this one specifically is like that. And you know, a lot of the extra functions like the multiplayer stuff, like that's not really that important to me on the Switch because that's not where I'd want to be playing those types of games anyway, right?
Right.
So it's like if it doesn't have it, it's like whatever. It's like it doesn't matter to me for that system.
Like, let me double down on that. Here's the thing. I think where the disconnect happens between me and Solve and King and Addict is that the reason, again, besides the portability, you know, the way I look at it, like I love the Vita, right? I thought the Vita was really something special because you had almost, you know, PlayStation quality graphics on the go. And I think with this is that the Nintendo Switch kind of falls in that medium, which is a little bit more powerful than the 360 and the PS3, but obviously not fully capable to handle all the PS4 and Xbox One stuff.
Right.
To me, that's great. I loved my 360. It's great when I see those games on that platform because I'm having that kind of power and fidelity in a portable situation. I think it's amazing. But I understand, but don't get me wrong, I do understand what they're talking about, and King's talking about like the giveth and the take away and the basic features. Like Addict and King, they are big on that, and I get that. Like for me not to have those features on the friend list,
especially when they're on the Wii U.
Exactly. And don't get us wrong. Like I'm with y'all. Like there's no excuse why those features are not there. That's what we affectionately call Grandpa Nintendo. We don't understand the decision process. It just feels like they're protecting us from ourselves for no reason. I don't get it. So that's where I do understand what they're saying. But I get it. It's what you're looking for in a system. If those type of things are important, you are not going to like the Switch.
At the end of the day, like I feel like the reason I bought a Switch is entirely different than the reason Sovereign bought a Switch.
You bought a Switch?
I bought a Switch
Final Fantasy.
for Zelda.
That's Final Fantasy.
Okay, sure, other stuff came out. I tried Mario Odyssey. It wasn't for me. Now, I'm going to be playing Luigi's Mansion. It's just Nintendo's games don't appeal to me like they appeal to Sovereign. Like when it comes to indie games and stuff like that, I'm not waiting 2 months to play something on the Switch. I'm not going to play it on the Switch because it's portable. Like if it's on my Xbox, I'm going to play it on the Xbox.
Okay,
absolutely.
All right. So but
all right. Between the reasons I bought it and the reasons you bought it, you played it for that mobility. I played it to play Nintendo games.
And also to Saul's point, Saul, I'll let you jump in. But to Saul's point, I won't play an indie on Xbox One and PS4. I'm not going to come home, stop playing my AAA experiences.
I'm with you on that.
No,
but Dandora is
where the indies now are really thriving is Switch, and you notice now they're getting them first,
day and date or first.
So that's where it's perfect, like those little quick kind of.
But those saves, though, you just scared me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest negative right there for me.
Huge, and that is unacceptable. And you know, I feel the same way. It's unacceptable. Mm-hmm. My thing is this: I've come to the point where Nintendo doesn't care what you care about.
But it's not okay to just accept it. You literally just
it's not okay. It's not okay that we give it.
But that's exactly that's how you start a statement that you accept what they're doing. I just accepted that they're just them.
Man, if you're a Nintendo fan, you've learned to do that. Like you've learned to do that. I'm not going to continue banging my head against the wall, asking for stuff. When it comes, it comes. If it comes, it comes. Cool.
But we do it to Xbox and PlayStation all the time.
Yeah, but they're the ones that set the standard for that. Xbox in particular. Like when we started out this.
Let's just move on.
This is the rabbit hole. We are in the rabbit hole, and I'm just gonna agree to disagree.
We've been trying to.
I just want to say.
You've been in that rabbit hole. We have that rope down, trying to get you out, and you just won't.
No, leave them in the hole. Leave them in the bushes. Leave them in the bushes.
You guys don't. I accept it for what it is. You guys want it to be something else.
Let's agree to disagree. I love my Switch.
We want it to be something else. We just wanted to have basic stuff that's been in gaming since 2005. We want it to be something. We just want to be able to click a button and message.
Let's get off the topic.
Yours is quick, but what I want to get King's next because he waited 2 weeks. King, the floor is yours. We got to move on. Persistent online gaming.
All right. I've noticed that I've become something that I despised. I despise the collectors. I despise that guy that went inside the store to purchase a game with no hopes in opening up that game and putting that game on the shelf just to say I have a stack. Look at my stack. And I've become that guy. And I sat there and I said, at what point in time did this happen? Because I remember purchasing systems for games and playing those games and beating those games with LordCognito and Lord Sovereign and Lord Kabatsu and Lord Sinister. We sat in the house and we did these things. We purchased these games. We ended these games. We saw credits off of every game that we purchased. Every Mario game that came out for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, every Sonic game that came out for Sega, Saturn, Dreamcast, I seen credits. I got to the end. I even played Crazy Taxi to get to an ending. This is what I'm trying to say is these persistent online games has changed me. I've noticed now that I'm playing Destiny 10 hours a day. Or I jump in PUBG 4 or 5 hours. I get absolutely nowhere. You understand? There's no ending to this. There's just more of the same. And tomorrow there'll be a daily, and tomorrow there'll be another strike, and you'll be helping your friend.
Hurry up so I can get my daily.
You see? Do you understand what I'm saying? But then I also noticed I purchased Spider-Man.
Yes.
And I needed to get to light level 550 to do the raid, but my Spider-Man is sitting there in the wrapper. I didn't finish God of War because they dropped out Forsaken, and PUBG had an update, and it was some other game that I was playing persistently online, and it has turned me into that guy that I despise, that collector. And then I noticed in my chats, everybody has a stack. So what I'm saying is, being that we've turned into these collectors, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person. Is it more viable to purchase a Game Pass or a service of this nature that allows us to play these games that's in there for the $10 a month and save our hard-earned $70 every month or every other week for new games that we can get a chance to play inside Game Pass? Is it going this way?
Are you saying that is it better for us to play games consistently throughout years or play one and done games?
Well, what I'm saying is it better to take that $70 that we was going to pay? Because Microsoft has actually made my choice easy to not purchase another Microsoft game again and just stay on Game Pass, because all of their first party games will be launching in Game Pass first. So is this the new way that we're going to start consuming games to start eliminating that stack instead of purchasing games and not getting around to it while in conjunction playing our online persistent games? We have these games available and we can get to them at a later date, opposed to plunking down $60 and then in 2 months is already $20 come Black Friday and you already wasted money in the beginning.
Let's get Lord Linneman on this. What do you feel about that whole?
Oh man, that's an interesting one. So for me, I don't really play persistent online games most of the time. It's not my thing. So although I did play a lot of the original Destiny, but
you don't have to get on this Destiny too. But it's okay. The water's flowing fine now.
The main issue with you bring up the old games, you see the credits on them a lot, and that's true. I've actually seen the credits on more retro games this year than anything modern by far. The problem for me with modern games is actually that they're too big for their own good. There's too much fat in them. Like, oh, we got to make this value for the consumer, so let's make an open world game with 1 billion side quests and collectibles and stuff. And they often make it so that the natural narrative flow is gated behind this stuff. And it feels like you're not spending your time as wisely as you could. Like you're not seeing all the best stuff of the game. Instead, you're like funneling through very repetitive tasks to take advantage of this world. Like in open world games, you just spend half the time literally running from one end of the map to the other. And that's not that fun for me.
Listen, I feel you, bro.
So it's like the games have changed in a way. So whether you're playing online or you're playing a lot of the big modern games, like that's why I do tend to prefer those games that are pretty linear or like constrained, because one, the experience is generally better throughout in the sense that they're more consistently at a high level because it's a linear thing. And so every time I sit down and play further, feels like I'm getting more out of it personally. And also I know that, I can actually reach the end and then move on. And so that's kind of the type of game I prefer to play more often, just for that reason. So I kind of bounce between retro games and those. And those are also the types of games that I like to own. I like to have those on disc or cart, because those types of experiences I'm going to go back to eventually and have a good time. I don't care that much about owning like all the Assassin's Creed games on discs, because I do have plenty, because they're so long and I'm never ever going to replay them. I don't really care about owning a Destiny or online games on disc, because when the servers go off, they're dead. You
lose the game. These are great. Yeah,
I do like to collect, and I like to own the physical copies of those games that are good enough and concise enough that they're possible to replay in a reasonable amount of time, and they're enjoyable to replay. It's like you put a movie on your shelf and you go back to that movie every so often, and you have a great time enjoying it again. And those are the types of type of game I like on my shelf as well. And that's especially true of retro games, which is why I like collecting them a lot, because I mean, I like to sit down, I have a friend over or something where you're like, all right, what game are we going to beat today? You just sit down, you pop a cartridge in or a disc or something, and you just spend the afternoon blasting through it, and you reach the end and you had an awesome time.
It's a sense of
that is a great thing. And that reminds me of what I love about games in general, is like mastering those concise challenges. It's like, and that's actually one of the things that's one of the reasons I think that the Dark Souls series became popular. It's not just that it's difficult, but it's constrained enough and the challenge is narrow enough where you always feel like, all right, I can go back and I can get better at this very specific point. And you feel satisfied with mastering a series of small challenges that come at you one after another, but it's not so big that you've got like 1 billion things to do in the world. And that's really satisfying. And that's what makes a lot of classic games great. And that's, so that's the stuff I want to own. And then the stuff you're talking about, like the online persistent stuff, that's a great case for something like Game Pass. Those types of games where, you don't really need it on disc. because you know you're not gonna. It's not a collectible kind of game. Instead, that's the kind of thing where you're gonna connect to a service. You're gonna play it with some friends, and you're gonna have a great time. And the value comes from the memories you have and the fun times you have while playing it with other people and the social experience. And it's two very different things. And honestly, open world games are often like that too, where I would say, hey, play that on Game Pass, have a blast, and that's it. Like, you know, one of my favorite experiences this year was actually Sea of Thieves. I know it got a lot of like not too many people seem to have loved it, but
yeah, you got that negative fact.
It was a really I liked that it was a very simple kind of game. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like I had to worry about a million little things. Again, I keep saying it, but it's like just going out. Like I think the first couple days with that game was one of my favorite experiences this year because I connected with some friends. We're just on voice chat, and even though we would discover the loop of the game is fairly simplistic at the time, we didn't actually know
what it was.
What do you even do?
Yeah, what were you even doing? So the communication was necessary to figure things out.
Yeah, just that experience of sailing around, encountering other players, like all the things that happened out there. Like it was all very simple stuff, but it was engaging because it was it felt fun. And I really like that type of experience. And that's why I'm not so big into the games where it's just like, you know, you have to level up and worry about all these little things and all these numbers and stuff.
Stop attacking Destiny.
Hey, you know what? I had
go. Yeah.
I had a great time with
Destiny. I was loving you right now.
And what I've played in Destiny 2 because Bungie knows how to do gunplay. Like that.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
That's
Thank you.
Out. Like the core gameplay loop of Destiny is really good. It really is good. And there's some amazing level design and visual design. They've done an awesome job on that. But for me, it's like with Destiny 2, it's like I played through Destiny 2. I didn't feel the need to just keep coming back. I get what people do, but it's like when people finish it real quick, or you know, I just treated it like a single player game. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, I played with
campaign and you were good.
Yeah. It's like I beat it. I had an awesome time. I look back on it fondly, but it's okay. I don't need to keep coming back to it. I mean, I know
you left with your soul intact.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't understand how you are warming Lord Sov's heart right now. Like, shout out to DJ Sig in the chat. He said that Lord Sov just got a partner for single player experience. I think we call Lord Sov.
That's correct. Kindred spirits.
His spirit is lifted. He's like, yes, I have found a brother, a partner in crime. Understand? I do not need persistent online. I want my single player linear experience where you have that sense of accomplishment and you can go back, you can replay it and do things better. Like, you don't understand how much you're speaking to him right now. So I know you warm right now.
No, definitely. I mean, for me, go to the point about like having a stack of games and having that collection, I've largely gone digital. I've basically gone completely digital. That said, my digital stack is just as big as what my physical stack would be, if not even more. Like between Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch, I probably have 700 games. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Wow. I fully admit that is ridiculous, and I don't get to touch, you know, a small portion of that. That said, my goal is at some point to be able to play at least some of all of those games.
You're a virtual collector.
That's what I am. I am a virtual hoarder. That is, I collect games, and I will dedicate time and like a lot of time to specific games that I know I'll finish everything in that game, and then other ones will probably sit there and touch for quite some time. And then when I do touch them, it's not necessarily guaranteed I'm going to really play through them. Right. So that's that. So I do the same thing in the digital realm as I probably would have done physically. So when it comes to those persistent online games, yeah, for me the same thing. There's not one of those games that I would probably ever stick to over a long period of time. Much like John said, like Destiny 2, I played it at launch. I was on at launch pretty much just as much as you guys are at launch, and then I fell off completely. No, I was on Destiny. I was on. You didn't.
Oh, you mean the original Destiny?
No, Destiny 2.
No, you wasn't.
Yes, I was. You didn't see me. You didn't see me.
But you was invisible. I was invisible.
But I played a lot of Destiny that first 3 weeks it was out. I did.
Oh no, that's a fraud lie. No.
But I wasn't
your
playing
light level. Your light level did not indicate anything that you're saying, sir.
I
And listen, and then when
he was taking in the atmosphere.
Me, exactly. That's all he did. All he did was go and stay in the tower and look at the ship.
King has said it. I like to stop and smell the roses and look at stuff. Like I don't play games like they do, especially when it comes to like.
They got butterflies. I mean, that's you, and I get it.
That is what I do. So for me,
no, but you beat Spider-Man and I didn't, so I need to shut up.
He 100%.
Nobody wants to be on my Destiny team because I'm like, dude, look at this texture over here.
You do it in the middle of the raid, Addict. That'd be funny.
Look at that HDR implementation. Like that's what I do. Like,
that's him.
Man, I think the weirdest thing I do real quick here is like you get a game for review and you get the digital code and then cover it. Like games that I really like, I end up just like buying a physical copy and just keep it shrink wrap.
Nice.
Like I look over here, it's like, oh, I got Gears of War 4.
Yeah, that's Lord King.
I played the digital version, but I kind of wanted to own the game. Like, I go out and like I buy games I already have digitally because that I like.
You know what
I want to have them in a collection.
I call it the doomsday effect. I call it the doomsday effect. All right, I truly don't. Here. Yeah, I truly don't believe in this online stuff, right? I truly don't, because I come from having, the games. So any game, just like he said, that I truly like, I purchase the physical copy and I'll leave it there just in case the servers or something goes down and something bad happens that I can play the game I love. So yeah, I got you.
Especially true with Nintendo, by the way, because like if you bought all Wii U digital stuff. Oh man,
God bless you. Lord Addict, man, what do you feel with the whole persistent online and single player game thing? Where you at with side of the fence?
I got problems with persistent online games. That's all I'm willing to say.
You got problems with that's all you're willing to say. No reasoning.
All
just
right.
got problems.
He's addicted because he just told you. We need to hurry this up so he can do his daily. Right, he's going to yank me into his daily, right?
Solve. Addict, we'll finish this thing off. With you, the Xbox announcement.
I just want to this isn't going to be too long. I did notice that, let me tell you the how this went through. I was making a video because I was playing Destiny and wasn't on Twitter like crazy, and I watched the Nintendo Direct, which I want to point out LordCognito was going to watch it, but he decided not to because he's too disappointed with the previous ones.
Yes.
So I watched this and I was like, yo, they have Final Fantasy X. They have all these great Final Fantasies coming out, but it's still not on Xbox. What's with that? So I started making my video that was pretty much like, this needs to change. This is dumb. And Kaki's like, no, it's out. So I want to point out that I think it's a little bit different that they're on that Final Fantasy X and all of them are on Switch because they have a better relationship with Square because they used to be primarily on Nintendo. But look at Final Fantasy X. It's been out on 3 platforms, even Steam, never been on Xbox. Final Fantasy IX has only been on Square, on Sony products, but now it's recently went on Steam and now it's on Xbox. So I want to formally admit that Phil Spencer's doing his work when it comes to these Japanese games.
Our Lord and Savior, Xbox Only Begotten Son, Phil?
Because these are games that I truly 100% did not think was ever going to come to Xbox.
Addict, who did that for you?
Hashtag. Who did that for you?
Final Fantasy X. It was remade for the PS3. It was remade for the PS4. It got released on Steam, never on Xbox. So it just that people are like, oh, now this game, now we need Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I kind of feel like
they should do it.
I kind of feel like this whatever agreement was up, I feel like was neither bought out or the time ran out, because I feel like if this game was going to come out on Xbox and it was possible, it would have came out during the PS4 when that remake was launched with the Final Fantasy X, because I low-key feel like Nintendo's responsible for this. Because no, let me explain. I feel like Nintendo went through the proper channels to make this game possible to come out to multiple platforms, and Xbox took that advantage. Because I feel like Xbox, this game Final Fantasy X would have came out for the Xbox during the PS4 when it was relaunched to the PS4 at the Xbox, at the same time. There's a reason that the Switch and the Xbox both were announced on the same day, because I feel like whatever Nintendo did to make that come on the Switch, it was used to get on the Xbox too.
That's interesting. Yeah,
that's interesting theory. Interesting. Yeah, Lord Linneman, jump in. What did you feel about the announcement with the Final Fantasy series actually hitting Xbox? Honestly, really not a lot of those games have hit the platform. And just shout out to Lord Santober to the chat. He said Square Enix.
Final Fantasies.
Yeah, he said Square Enix seems to have changed their Xbox approach post Nier Automata. He said they realized there is a market for those games. So, like, just what's your whole feeling about that with Square and the Final Fantasy games?
I think it's awesome that more people can finally play these games. And they should. I'm glad that those walls seem to be coming down. I'd assume that in the past it was more like Japanese thinking, like, okay, like, all right, you know, PlayStation Japan, Nintendo Japan, but you know, Xbox has really never taken off there. But maybe they're taking a more global view of things now.
I don't even think it was necessarily that, because 15 and 13 came out before that remake of 10.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. No, it's kind of a weird situation, though. The 10 one, I don't understand, but games like Final Fantasy 7 and 9, those are weird releases to me, because I don't really think that they work that well on modern displays. Like, because of the super low res like, you got to play those on a CRT, like low res, like they're just not, like, those backgrounds don't look good when but at the same time, you know, I think it's really awesome that they're coming, and it's, you know, it's especially funny to see Final Fantasy 7 on a Nintendo system on a cartridge, since the whole marketing of the game back in the day was like, it'll never come to, you know, it's not really the same thing. I understand, but it's funny. It's cool to see it. And I think Square should absolutely be bringing more of their back catalog to all the systems, because people want this stuff, and they'd like to there's a lot of people that haven't played them, maybe people that want to replay them, and like limiting it to one platform is just leaving money on the table.
And that, you know, I always point out that, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3 is about to come out next year. Yeah. And Square is going to post this on Xbox, Kingdom Hearts 3, but not the previous ones. I do feel like there's a publishing thing there with Sony, because that's not even on Nintendo.
Well, Nintendo did have some Kingdom Hearts games on.
Well, they have some of them, but they don't have 3DS. They have some of, but they don't have a lot of the collections on. Like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, those have never been on Nintendo platforms. Yeah, right. And those are the ones people really want. I feel like Square doesn't really have the right to complain about sales on a platform that they didn't release the predecessors of that game on the platform.
I don't know about this, but I wonder if any of that has to do with some old licenses with
That's Disney, what I was just about to ask.
And like the number of platforms they're allowed to release. Like maybe I'm totally off, but there could be something there with the Disney relationship and the specific game contracts that might muddy the waters.
And that's what I was talking about with the Final Fantasy 10, 9, and 7, is those games I feel like had that speculation, but when Nintendo went about to get it on their platform, I feel like they did something to stop that entirely. Because
the question I have, though, is do we even know that Nintendo was responsible for that? Like, it almost makes me wonder if it's just Square Enix.
If it's just Square.
Where else can we make money?
Yeah, it could be simple as that.
Cognito and I talked about this last night, and we were like, is it really Microsoft, you know, working hard to get these on their platform, or is it a business move?
But look at it from the standpoint that they released the Final Fantasy 9 on PlayStation 4. Then like 2 months later, it was like 4 or 5 months later, then they released it on Steam. Same thing with the Final Fantasy X's been released on 2 different platforms before it went to Xbox. And these games aren't coming out anytime soon. They're coming out next year. Final Fantasy 12 was released on PlayStation, and I don't think that's on Steam. But my point
it is.
So you got these games, and I feel like when it comes to this standpoint, if these games were coming out on Xbox and they were available to, I feel like they would have.
I don't know. I mean,
it could also be I don't know if this holds any water, but it could also be a development thing. Like, are you going to really put? Like, I don't know how much in terms of resources is it going to cost you to develop a remaster of these games simultaneously for all these platforms at once, rather than focusing on one platform first and see how it sells, and then seeing if it makes sense for you financially to put them on the other consoles. I agree. It's like money that's on the table.
But the fact that Final Fantasy 15, 13, 13-2, 13 Lightning Returns, all of them came out to all of them.
It's a 13.
Yeah.
It seems like they're up until now, there's been something preventing them from coming to other platforms because these games have only been on PlayStation and Steam. That's all. Until
to be fair, though, there's a lot of these re-releases only started happening this gen, right? Like most of those games kind of stayed to their original platform up until recently. And then I think Square Enix of today has started to realize the value of re-releasing old games, which is something they weren't that into before. I mean, they've done some, but
I mean, they released the Kingdom Hearts collection.
Listen,
they released
some Japanese companies know the value of $1, like Capcom, and they will release that game on anything.
I mean, they brought Final Fantasy VII to every platform Sony's had. They just brought 9 back. That I don't think 8's ever going to come back unless they do some magical stuff. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm just glad that I think this is a good standpoint for the Xbox as a brand because
absolutely,
in order to, I've always said, because people always have that stigma that these games don't sell well on Xbox because they don't get the good ones of these games. They always get the average ones or bad one of these games. Like these Final Fantasy games, like Dragon Quest, like Xbox don't get those. The good JRPGs that Xbox gets always sells good. A Final Fantasy 15 so good, Monster Hunter so good, but when it comes to the middle of the average one, they never get them, and they're arguably getting some of the best ones that's ever been made.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just thinking we need more Mistwalker, like from the 360
Thank
days.
you, man.
Once more Lost Odyssey, especially Lost Odyssey.
I honestly think Microsoft should have bought them. I don't know if they were able to, but that should have been their JRPG company.
I just played that I think a month ago.
Dude.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick and finish out. I mean, yeah, this is interesting. I really don't know. This is when I heard the announcement, I was very surprised to see, the Final Fantasy series there on Xbox. I thought that was great. I will say this, to King's credit, I know we're all big Phil fans here, but I will say that at least Microsoft, even if it wasn't, if this was a Square deal, I feel lately during the Phil era, especially this last E3, they've made it a point to embrace Japanese games and for them to display on their stage. Like, with the Jump Force and obviously, Devil May Cry and, the Psycho, Shadows Die Twice or whatever it is. Like, there's so many times like that wouldn't happen, and it would only be on the PlayStation stage. So I felt at least they are making strides, and this is a good get, regardless to whoever made the deal happen. It's a good get for it to be on the platform, and it's beneficial for Square. Square. I mean, at the end of the day, you're getting your product out there to more audiences, more platform, more engagement. So I think it's a good thing. At the end of the day, I like the move. Hope it continues, and just rest in peace. Shout out to Final Fantasy VIII. I don't know what's going on with that. But
I think
hopefully one day somebody can find it.
It's going to be a while, though. Sooner or later, there's going to be too much demand that they're like, man, let's just do it.
Hopefully, maybe they have to rewrite it. But according to, Lord Linneman, there's a lot involved there. And, with the old, what you said with the old Japanese, what is it, code and stuff like that, maybe it's just hard to retrieve. I don't know. It's just tough.
I think a lot of it was lost, the source code.
The source code. But anyway, let's end it. New poll this week with all of the recent announcements at the latest Nintendo Direct. How did this affect your outlook on the future of the Nintendo Switch moving forward? The answers are A, no effect. Majority of old games and ports and terrible online service displayed. B, huge effect. Ton of great games for 2018 and beyond. Future is bright. Or C, I don't care. No more Labo support. I stop watching. That is the question. Those are the choices. Please rock the ILP vote when it goes up on Twitter. Lord John Linneman, an absolute pleasure to have you in the realm, even though we kept you extremely long. I apologize.
Oh, guys, it was awesome to talk with you guys. As soon as I heard about Super Graphics purchases back in the 90s and visiting the old
I'm home.
stuff,
I'm home.
Like, all right, this is the place.
I appreciate you stopping by the road, man. Your experience is absolutely tremendous, and I have to, but just like Lord King said when he was fanboying out, I got a chance to meet you in the flesh, and I fanboyed. I was supposed to be doing a job. I was supposed to be doing coverage, and I'm like, right next to me to my left is Lord John. I believe it was shout out to Lord Sam Tober. We were out there. I believe it was a Microsoft press event.
That was right. It was the Xbox One X thing on the stage.
Yes, absolutely. It was pretty awesome. I had Lord Santo recovering Shadow of the Tomb Raider at the time. We weren't allowed to take any footage, but right in the periphery, I'm like, wait a minute, this face is familiar. And it's good old Lord John. So unassuming, no one says anything to. I'm like, that is the man right there. I was like, I need a picture on site now. And he was so cool. Thank you so much for coming through the realm and sharing your experiences. Digital Foundry, again, which I said, the pulse of modern gaming culture. You guys do a tremendous job. Shout out to the team, yourself, Richard Ledbetter, everyone on the team. We always look forward to the breakdown, the technical analysis, the benchmarks. Fantastic job. Thank you for entering the realm of the Lords.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome.
Absolutely. And we're going to do our outro. So, Lord Addict. And also, before I actually pass it, where can the fine people find you and on social media, and as well as what are the next things you have actually cooking up?
All right. So you can find me at Dark1X on Twitter. And of course, we're on youtube.com/Digital Foundry and at Eurogamer.net/Digital Foundry. Put that in there.
That's it. And that DF Retro coming soon. We got one. I'm supposed to be doing one on Jay Allard, right? Something's coming.
Oh, I got some fun DF Retro stuff in the works.
Nice.
Some long-term projects that I've been working on. So hopefully I'll get to them soon.
Okay.
Got some fun presentations happening. If you come if you happen to be in England,
yes,
come to EPX in Birmingham. I'll be doing a DF Retro panel up there with Matt Phillips, the creator of Tanglewood, which is a brand new Sega Genesis game.
Whoa.
The dude,
brand new. Crazy.
He made this the old school way. It's shipped on a cartridge, and he's gracious. It's awesome. He decided to come on stage with me and actually talk about how he made the game, and I'm going to try to turn that into a video after the fact. So I'm kind of excited about that.
That's awesome, Reg. Wow, that's a tremendous story. I had no idea about this. Definitely looking forward to that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the king and lord of retro, my man, John Linneman. What's up?
Yes.
Lord Addict, where can people find you? What do you have going on?
Oh, you can't find me on anything right now. I'm going to jump right back on Destiny.
Consistent online gaming.
No, that raid mentally destroyed me. I refuse to go in there unless I'm like 50, man. Like,
I'm with you.
But you can definitely catch me on Twitter at LordAddictILP. Here, I'm going to go ahead and post in the chat. This is the Twitter for Lord John Linneman. Definitely go follow him. He's been a great guest. Definitely go do that. And I once again I'd like to thank Lord Linneman for coming through. So I'm out. Talk to you guys later.
No doubt. Lord Sovereign, you finally met a selfish single player experience gamer like yourself. How does it feel?
It feels amazing, a man after my own heart. Absolutely, I just love to just sit down and just disappear into a world. That's what I do. So I'm glad that who really appreciate that. So big shout out and thank you to John Linneman for coming through. Really, I love everything you guys do in terms of the technical breakdowns of all the modern stuff, and especially the DF retro stuff. That is my favorite. Fantastic. It speaks to me in a way that it allows me to go back to those old times and really take deep dives into games that I just loved on the surface. And now I have, because of what you do, I have more knowledge about these games, and it's amazing. Just keep it up, please.
Oh man, thank you so much.
Love that. And you guys can find me online. You can find me tweeting pictures of Spider-Man and Shadow of the Tomb Raider on Twitter at
I saw your little share of Spider-Man. I'm like, look who's online. Look at this guy.
He's on social media all over the.
I got Shadow of the Tomb Raider stuff coming up too. I'll be playing a lot more of that this week.
Good. You should post that inside the Instagram. How about that?
Okay,
that is
true. I will do that. I will do that. And you can find me online as well. BX Sovereign on Xbox Live and PSN. I may not talk to you, but I'll be there.
Shout out to DJ Sig, who's been all over you in the chat. He said,
Lord,
calm down.
He never lets up.
Lord King, an absolute pleasure. What is going on? Where can the five people find you?
First and foremost, I would like to say anyone who understands when I say super graphics is a blood brother. All right? Because I purchased that system. It cost me like $450, and I purchased it for one game. I purchased it for Ghouls and Ghosts.
Oh, my man.
Yes, that port was amazing.
Yep.
Yes.
That's one.
It was arcade perfect. It was the greatest thing I've ever put on at that point in time for me. The system was huge. It was beautiful. And it said super graphics. And I felt like the biggest person in the world.
Dude, it was the first mid-generation console upgrade.
Yes! That is a great point. The super, yes, that is from turbo to super graphic, yes.
Because that was their real 32-bit system. Because remember, they had two 16s on top of each other.
Well, that was a giant.
Turbo
I don't know what they were doing.
But yeah, today has been a great day. I think I'm going to talk about this show, the interview, more than most, and it's because you formulate the culture. And maybe you guys didn't know what was happening, when it was happening, and how it was happening. But to do something in the manner that you have done it, it shows your excellence. Because everything that you guys touch, in my opinion, is gold. Like the DF Retro. When you did that, I said yes. Because I remember going to Susie's, eating or getting a pizza to go and play this Genesis game. And you took the deep dive into that. Some guys won't remember that, and some guys are getting this for the first time. But for the people that do go back to that when they purchased the cartridge and they looked at it,
he has the time period down, the nostalgia, the feel.
And you talk about it, and it's something I truly appreciate. I appreciate you, the whole staff. I appreciate all you guys for everything that you do. And I always tell people, look at the back of the video when you're standing with the stuff that's on the shelf, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly. Yeah, I had that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I look at the back to see the old retro stuff. I'm like, yeah, I remember that game. Okay,
yes,
got that system there. Okay,
so I'm like, I feel it, and I do appreciate it. And you guys are a pillar in the community. And we look to you guys for the unbiased, true information on stuff. So I just keep up the great work, and it was a pleasure having you on today.
Oh man, thanks, man. I try.
Absolutely, you loved out here, Lord Linneman. You loved. Yeah, man. Same here, man. Obviously.
With that said, hold on, Cognito. Let me just finish my joint. Just for you guys. I know I went on with my blovating. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The Facebook community is just postings of what's coming up next. Instagram is insight into what we do. There's not going to be any captions and stuff like that really there. You're just going to see what us as the Lords do. Please go like and follow and subscribe. The YouTube channel is where you can actually see these videos and you can get that stuff. Combat Talk is going to be done right after this, so you can get my analysis of the results of the fight last night. And if you didn't see the original Combat Talk for the preview of the fight, you can watch that, and you can see how right or wrong the king was going into this. All right. We do appreciate everybody sitting in this room. You guys are still 44 strong. We went up to 80, and that was beautiful. Thank you guys for sticking around all the way to the end. 4 hours is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Listen, man, again, not going to be understood. Cannot be said that has not already been said. But again, salute Lord Linneman coming through. Again, apologies for going a little long. Your stories just were sparking the brain, and we were just taking us back. Like we couldn't stop talking. So apologies. We usually try not to go this long. This is like an E3 Raw special right now. But yeah, dude, salute, man. Tremendous stories. Great work you guys are doing. And again, for me, LordCognito on Twitter. And again, thanks for everyone staying in. Hit that like, subscribe on all the Inner Circle Media Network channels, and links is in the description. We'll have all that stuff. Like Kaibatsu will have the timestamps up because it's a long episode. So look out for that a little bit later on today. Shout out to the stream team. We're going to have some announcements with that coming up soon. And again, like Lord King said, Combat Talk is up there on the Iron Lord podcast channel, as well as behind the scenes when we're at the shows. We have all that stuff up there, E3, PAX, all that good stuff. Flashpoint, which is our Destiny only focused podcast, that will return this week. Apologies, Abantes. I had to get ready for the raid, so I ditched out on you. We will return. I know he's a little salty with me, but we will return. We will get back on track. They start talking that great Forsaken talk. There's great content in there. It's been a great raid. It's a good time to come back into Destiny if you are curious. And yeah, the audio and all that stuff will be up. I know we went long. Everyone kind of enjoy your Sunday. Is there anything else by any Lord? We will close out. All right, everybody's good. Everyone enjoy their Sunday. Peace.